Welcome, everyone, to our budget meeting today, December 11th, 2025, for the Municipality of Tweed. We always begin our meetings with our land acknowledgement. The Municipality of Tweed recognizes that our work takes place on traditional Indigenous territories, including the Huron-Wendat, Anishinaabe, and Haudenosaunee peoples. We recognize and respect the history, languages, and cultures of the First Nations, Métis, Inuit, and all Indigenous peoples whose presence continues to enrich our communities. Miigwech. Could I have a mover and a seconder for the approval of today's budget meeting, please? Thank you, Deputy Mayor Lamarche. Thank you, Councillor Palmetier. Any comments or changes on the agenda? Oh, there is one thing. You wanted me to move something on the agenda? Yes. What we would like to do is, if I can get everybody's approval, is to move Cindy's presentation up to the front so that she can leave because of what's going on this evening.
Good strategy.
Good strategy. Yes, we want to make sure it's all ready. Can I have a mover and a seconder to make that change? Thank you, Councillor Valiquette. Thank you, Councillor Fleeler. Okay, with that change, be it resolved that the agenda for December 11, 2025 budget meeting be amended as approved. All in favor? Thank you. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest? Seeing none. Okay, now we're going to watch a video that Lucas is going to queue up for us. It's one that we always watch before we begin the budgeting process.
Very important to note that provincial government legislation in Ontario states money coming in equals money going out, also known as revenue equals expenditures or a balanced budget. The municipality of MFOA provides more than 60 services to the citizens of the municipality, so municipal council and administration always have to make difficult decisions to ensure this balancing takes place. There are two main components of the budget when looking at the money going out side of the scale. Operating pays for all the day-to-day activities of the corporation. This includes items such as salaries and wages, utilities, supplies, fuel, and insurance, just to name a few. The capital budget pays for all the new big investments or the rehabilitation of current assets under the municipality's control. So let's focus on how the municipality collects to pay for all these services. For every dollar that comes into the municipality, 64 cents comes from property taxes, 21 cents from grants and subsidies, and 15 cents from user fees and other sources. So now we've learned what a budget is, how municipalities collect money, and how they spend it. Now let's take a look at how these pieces work together. Money comes in through property taxes, grants and subsidies, and user fees. The money collected is required for both the operating and capital budget. We've already talked about the operating budget, including day-to-day expenses, but it also includes money for funding capital budgets. The capital budget pays for all the new big investments or the rehabilitation of current assets under the municipality's control. This connection is made through three methods. The capital levy method reflects a pay-as-you-go approach. The reserve fund method, which reflects a planned save now, acquire, or use later approach, and the debt payment approach. Okay, so let's recap. 1. A budget is a plan for money coming in and money going out. There are two building blocks to the municipality's budget: operating and capital. 2. The operating budget is like you're paying your house bills to keep the lights on. Just like in a normal household, our bills go up with inflation. 3. The capital budget is like your major outlays: vehicles, house, renovations, etc. 4. Money comes in from three sources: property tax levy, user fees, and grants and subsidies. 5. Money coming in is used to deliver over 60 services to municipality residents. 6. Municipal council and administration, with the input of the public, decide how to best balance the municipal budget guided by provincial legislation. And that is how your municipality develops its budget.
I'll turn that back on. Today, we begin deliberations on the final budget of this council's mandate, starting with the review of departmental capital requests. Departmental operating requests will follow at a later meeting, after which council will reconcile both components to arrive at a final 2026 budget. I want to thank CAO Diskey, Treasurer Lepard, Public Works Manager Reed, Recreation Economic Development Manager Chow, Fire Chief Little, and all staff who contributed to the preparation of this capital budget. My understanding is that today serves primarily as an Thank you, Lucas. To begin, the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing, the ministry to which we report, has been very clear that they are pleased with our financial plan and the progress we have made to restore fiscal stability. In fact, they specifically noted that we could not have secured a better resource to guide us through this transition than Treasurer Lepard. According to the ministry, she is highly regarded and well known within their department. This is a major asset for our municipality. I also want to acknowledge the remarkable work of our former CRO treasurer, Ms. Raybone, who guided us through some extremely difficult times. For every year she served, she reconciled our accounts in full. Those were audited annually by an independent external auditor, and not once did those audits raise concerns of impropriety. Those audits form the foundation of the Provincial Financial Information Return, FIR, a mandatory comprehensive annual report detailing a municipality's financial health. We passed each year without issue. When Ms. Raybone resigned in January 2025, we lost both a CAO and a treasurer. We retained CAO Pender and on contract until the hiring of CAO Diskey in May, and subsequently hired Treasurer Lepard in June. Upon arrival, she immediately oversaw the reconciling the 24 accounts, which had not yet been completed at the time of Ms. Raybone's departure. I am pleased to report that our auditors are now accessing the 2024 reconciled files in order to complete the 2024 audit and the provincial FII. Reconciliation of our 2025 accounts are proceeding nicely, and we are aiming for a full reconciliation in Q1 2026. For context, 30% of all municipalities have not yet completed their 2024 audits and FRIs. Another 30% have only finished in the last 2 months. Our neighbor, Sterling Rodden, has still not reconciled their 2024 accounts. Our staff and managers have done exceptional work getting Tweed back on track. Today, we will also receive a presentation on the updated asset management plan. The revised asset management plan represents a shift from aspirational modeling to practical, risk-based decision-making while prioritizing public safety, emergency access, and fiscal sustainability. The overall cost pressure, while still significant, has been reduced because of strategic actions taken by council and staff. For example, 8 bridges will be closed at the end of the service life, where an alternate route exists within 10 minutes, avoiding approximately $13,210,000 in future capital costs. Prefabricated bridge solutions have been adopted where feasible, reducing replacement costs from $1 to $5 million to approximately $700 to $3 million per bridge. The installation of the prefabricated Queensboro Bridge is expected to save over $800,000. You will hear a recommendation that Council dedicate a 6% annual tax increase for the next 10 years specifically towards infrastructure funding. The province requires municipalities to demonstrate how they will meet infrastructure obligations, particularly given our unsuccessful provincial funding applications in 2023, 2024, and in 2025. I am encouraged that MPP Brise has requested an update on our immediate infrastructure challenges and has committed to presenting our case directly to the government. The municipality of Tweed has made difficult but necessary decisions to address long-standing vulnerabilities. However, the scale of infrastructure responsibility placed on a small rural tax base cannot be managed without targeted provincial and federal partnerships. I also want to briefly address OPP costs, though policing is an operational expense. I raise it here because it underscores the financial pressures facing both this council and the next. As you recall, the province subsidized part of the 2025 OPP increase, with no guarantee for 2026. We set aside 2% of the 2025 levy to offset potential increase. On December 5th, we received the 2026 billing schedule. Our OPP costs will rise from $1,099,163 to $1,220,071. That's an 11% increase, totaling $120,908. Even with the 2% we set aside, we remain short by $28,329. The province invoice further states that the true cost of policing to this municipality is $1,394,500 and $1,394,507,000, meaning the province is again providing a temporary subsidy in 2027, the next council will face a substantial climb, recovering the 2% that we set aside, absorbing any new increase for this year, and planning for OPP escalations. Hypothetically, they may need to find an additional $295,354, or equivalent to a 5.4% tax increase in 2027, just for policing, before accounting for any other operational or capital pressures. Taken together, it is not difficult to understand why small rural communities like ours are deeply concerned about the future. We simply do not have the tax base of large urban centers. Although we were once described as the canary in the coal mine, it is now clear that we are merely the tip of the iceberg. Small rural and northern municipalities across Ontario face the same urgent challenges. We desperately need the provincial and federal governments to recognize that they must be part of the solution. We cannot continue along this trajectory alone. I'm grateful that MPP Brise remains committed to helping us move forward. Thank you. So now, okay, I'm going to, could I get a mover and a seconder to table the 2026 budget summary from, not summary, but notes from the CIO, please? Thank you, Councillor Valiquette. Thank you, Councillor Fleeler. Okay, over to you, Ron. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you. And through the chair, the purpose of this cover report is just that. It's a cover report that will indicate that today's budget is a presentation. You do not need, as the mayor emphasized, to make any decisions today, but refer this to the ongoing budget process. Staff will be coming back in February with the operating budget, and you will have a better picture of the needs of the community and what staff are presenting at that time. That being said, I'd like to thank the staff. Staff were amazing in this process. All staff here at the Civic Building were included in this budget and preparing it together. So I just want to tell you how happy I am with the effort that everybody did and the work and the contributions everyone made. Also, I'd just like to, a little off track here, but thank Ryan, Trevor, and his team for the snow clearing efforts this entire month. Actually, we have had a lot of snow in December compared to maybe the last couple of years. So with some of the challenge we faced and with the support of council making some changes and new equipment, I think it went very well. So I just wanted to thank Ryan, Trevor, and the whole team for the efforts they've made and them keeping our community safe. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. CIO Diskey. Be it resolved that council receive the 2026 capital budget report as presented, and further that 2026 capital budget be referred to the ongoing budget process, and further the January 15, 2026 council budget meeting be canceled. Were you going to pick a new date, or are you going to pick a date later?
We, through the chair, we have a date already scheduled in February, so we'll just go to that one.
Okay, so that will be February that we'll meet again. Okay, thank you. All in favor? Oh, did I get going to move in a second, or did I? Okay, all in favor. And did you update that, Lori? I just want, because I've been having problems with this. Had you updated the mover and a seconder? Okay, I just want to see if I'm getting the update. No. Oh, okay, I got it seconded, but no move. Oh, okay. Okay, thank you. It's just that because I've been having problems with this, I want to make sure that I'm getting. That's right, that's right. Okay, we're going to move Cindy up now. Or you want to do the asset management first? Okay, okay, we're good. Could I have a mover and a seconder to table the asset management update? Council will receive a presentation review of the municipality of Tweed's asset management report as delivered by consultant Steve Keeley. Could I get a mover and a seconder, please? Thank you, Deputy Mayor LaMarche. Thank you, Councillor Valley-Kent. Okay, Steve, if you want to come up to the podium, and thank you very much.
Can I share? Thank you.
We'll do it here.
Are you going full screen or are you? Yeah, that'd be fun.
Click.
I will. Okay, well, Lucas considers full screen. My name's Steve Keeley. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council and staff for having me here to talk about this. Before we get started too far, just a bit of background on me so you know where I'm coming from. Long ago, but not that far away, I bludgeoned out a degree in physics and economics, was subsequently hired by Alcan Research in Kingston. And part of what I used to do was to write process cost models for operating companies so that whatever we were trying to change or employ in their plants actually did make some financial sense. So it wasn't a major jump for me to be part of asset management plans. And when I started into the public sector, it was rife with PSAP. I think as public service accounting, police or something like that. It's actually board. Were prevalent at the time, and we were trying to figure out in the public sector how to account for capital projects. Perfect. We're on the next slide. So I have a few slides to go through. This a little bit daunting looking, but we're going to fly through the first 6 or so, and then about halfway down, we start to get a bit serious about what's going on. On the side, it says Tweed Asset Management Plan at the impact and 26 and 35 and beyond. It's a little bit like Buzz Lightyear and Toy Story. We're going to go to infinity and beyond, but not quite. We're going to go about 10 years out and then have a peak at the next 10 years after that. So 20 years out to see what you're up against. Next slide, please. Thanks. So as it's been alluded to before, section or this 25 amp section 6 is an update on the previous amps. And it's an update to a pretty significant update in that we're supposed to supply a 10-year life cycle or a 10-year plan for capital. And on that, it's a strategy for a financial strategy to get through those 10 years. Not really an easy task. As well, on top of that, to determine the levels of service in those 10 years and to consider any kind of economic growth and if it has an impact on your future in this area. And the plan is supposed to be endorsed by the executive lead. This is according to section 8. The executive lead and plan passed by resolution of council. Section 7 says that this whole thing will be done again in 5 years. So I can hardly look forward to that. And section 9 says that council will review the asset management plan on or before July 1st next year. So just be aware of that. Lucas, thanks. So I'm gonna sort of have some fun with your fair share. Tweed has its fair share of lakes and rivers, more than I've ever been involved in any other municipality before. You've got 50 plus bridges, 57 actually. You are, as I said to Councillor Valiquette over lunch, you guys are nearly famous with the amount of bridges you have, according to the number of people that you have. You have 400 roads. That's kind of normal. Buildings, you have 40, actually 41, as far as I know, and including the hockey rink, Cindy, at Stoco. But you don't have your fair share of ratepayers. And you know that. You have 350 homes, actually 340, maybe 370 homes, a little over 6,000 residents. And to put it into perspective, you have 60 ratepayers per bridge. Bridges are about $1.5 million a piece, sometimes 2 million. So you get a feel for what the stress is on the ratepayers here if you have that many bridges, that many buildings. Lucas, travel on. I'm going to get through growth here pretty quickly, and I'm just determining or looking at growth in the village of Tweed itself. And it's a neat statistics I stumbled upon is in 1951, you had about 100 more people in the village of Tweed than you do now in 2021. So Tweed isn't exactly busting at the seams. It seems to be a bit cyclic back and forth, goes back down to about 1,500 up to 1,700, but it's in that area all the time. So growth is unlikely, at least from my limited viewpoint on what's going on, to exceed your service levels. And the next slide will show those service levels I'm talking about. So the top graph is which you're rated for water. And I know there are always some issues with water, but in water, you've got a rating of just over 1,600. And that graph should say cubic meters per day. That's a massive amount when you think of a cubic meter. A family uses about 0.6 cubic meters a day. And you're using about exactly that. You're down around 600 to 800 is your maximum. 600 is, I think it's 512 is what your average was last year. So when you look at what you can take at 1,600 and what you're using, you seem to have some, people say you don't, but you seem to have some room to move, and in fact, even room to grow. But there's nothing there that says you're going to have to expand your water and sewer in the next 10 years just yet. The same is true for sewer, and everybody wants to say wastewater, but you term it as sewer. You got a capacity of 1,800, and you're bumping along there about 800. You'll notice the peak there in March, April, May, and that's probably from infill, and people have their sump pumps hooked up to the wastewater lines, which is you can do a little trick in the basement and make that happen if you're not careful. So thanks, Lucas. Next. So really, your actual jewel here is your landfill. Your landfill still has a capacity, and I think this is 2023 report I was reading, of 98,000 cubic meters. You race along at 1,100 cubic meters per year. So if you do the arithmetic, you have 89 years remaining of capacity. Even with some growth, you still have 85 years. That's a long way away. The acronym I always stumble on, PWQO. I think that's Provincial Water Quality Objectives. You have some exceedances in that area and they need to be addressed. I haven't been responsible for landfill anywhere that didn't have some exceedances somewhere. And you're always trying, it's like whack-a-mole trying to make sure you've got those exceedances taken care of. But yes, you have capacity at landfill for some growth for sure. Green assets, Cindy and I talked about that a little bit, and she was able to kind of bring me up to speed on what your green assets. It's kind of when the whole asset management plan started, it was roads, bridges, the biggies, roads, bridges, water, sewer. And then somewhere along the way, about 2025, they realized we've never put in parks, recreation, and a lot of the A lot of the budget you have, certainly a lot of the budget that you have is parks and recreation. It's termed under green assets now, and it's what makes people happy and enjoy living in a place. Yes, roads are important, sure, water, sewer, but a spot to go and play hockey and to go to a park is vitally important to the welfare of your community. Natural assets usually overlooked. You've got the Moira, the Black, the Scutamata, the Clare, and many others, Stoco, and 100 other lakes up north. But you also have natural aquifers that are overlooked. Without the aquifers that are sitting right down below us right here, Tweed's got nothing going on because you don't have water. And all of the rest of your, instead of being beside a lake that you're pulling from aquifers that are down there. So you need to take care of those aquifers for sure. And now we're into the good stuff. We had to choose a starting point, and eventually Cindy said, why don't we just take what was happening last year? So you had and I must admit with the policing aspect, it's a significant part of your tax base. The 6.24 million was what you had in 2025. Federally, and this isn't unusual, federally you had 390,000. Provincially, you had 340,000, and that adds up to being 730K. And Tweed was putting in, at least last year, about the same amount, 737,000, totaling about 1.4, 1.5 million. So not unusual. Other municipalities are very much like this. So the AMP process, we need to just take a breath here. I want you to be aware how this kind of works. You guys did talk about, and I say you guys, I'm sorry, council and Mr. Mayor and staff talked about inflation a while ago. And that's how the AMP process works, at least in my mind. And it's not just me making this up. This is done, I stole this from Watson and Associates. This is how they do their rate process when they're trying to discern what the rate should be for water and sewer. So if you have, for example, a $100,000 vehicle, which by these days is not a big vehicle, 3/4 ton is running about 100,000. You can expect if it's got a lifetime of about 10 years, with 2% inflation, it's going to be worth about 122,000 in 2035. You want to fund for that. You want to be putting away, or at least thinking you're putting away $12,000 a year, $12,190 a year. And if you apply this to all of Tweed's assets that I had access to, which is about 315 or 16 different assets, you come up with $164 million in present value. But you need to be putting away about $6 million. It's $6,019,000 or something, but $6 million. So that's a different number than we talked about before. So I want you just to be comfortable with that process. You have a bridge now that's worth $1.5 million. 10 years from now, it's going to be worth $1.8 million. So it keeps pounding up. It's not like you can kind of forget about the assets, because when you need to replace them, they're much more expensive by a couple of percent. I'll talk about the 2% for just a second here. Inflation in Canada for the last 60 years has been, 1.998%, essentially 2%, except for 2 years after COVID, where it went to 6.28%. So there's a little blip there around just after COVID where it went 6.28 down to 3 again. So if you look at the last 5 or 10 years, it's been 2.49%. But for the point of this asset management plan, I just left it at 2. So because these are long-term roads and bridges in there. Next slide, please. So just what I was talking about, there's a couple of key points here. When you look at bridges, and it used to be a higher number because somebody has started to embrace some bridges that are a different type of technology for bridges. Thank you, Ryan. And they're significantly cheaper. So the bridges, as far as how much they're worth, we've been able to eke out that they're worth about $84 million, which is not insignificant, but it used to be higher, like 119 in the previous AMPs. I guess because you weren't looking at those lower cost bridges in there. And the replacement value for that, now that you've taken out the 8 spans, you haven't taken them out. You just said, we're not going to replace them. We're going to continue to use them until they're not usable anymore, is $728,000 a year. As compared to roads underneath it, has a value of say 23 million. but you have to be putting in $1.8 million a year into those roads. The reason is it's the lifetime or the lifespan of the roads is much, much shorter than a bridge. So you got very expensive bridges sitting there that last for 100 years. They last longer than we do, okay? Roads do not last as long, like 30 years or at tops, most 30 years. Vehicles and equipment, you see only 14 million, but 1.7 million needs to be put away for the equipment because it doesn't last very long. Trucks last 7 years, 10 years, 15 years kind of thing. And there's the total 164 million and that dreadful $6 million that we need to be putting away every year. Next slide. So, oh, wow, that's a lot in color. So this is to give you, this is in your asset management plan and the appendices of the asset management plan. This is what the province wants. It's a plan that shows the replacement value, the funding that should be in there. And I've shown you a snapshot of the first 3 years. It goes on for 10 years and then has the additions at the end of it. So it's in the plan if you want to see. At the bottom is the 163.885 million and the $6 million in orange. I think we can go on to the next slide. So with the funding gap of 4.5 million, you kind of go, well, what do you do with that? Essentially, you need your $373,000 to grow up to be $4.5 million. And you'd like that to happen, say, within 10 years. If you take 737, you compound it for 10 years at 20%, you end up with 4.5 million. And it's at this point that a lot of asset management plans say, have a nice day. Here's your plan. The next 10 years, you increase your funding by 20%, and Bob's your uncle. Anybody that's old enough or old as me knows what Bob your uncle means. Everything's good. It's not so good here because it's just not viable for Tweed. You have some immediate needs that are coming up in your face. Some of them are buildings, and certainly there are equipment and trucks and bumper tankers and so on. So at the bottom is a picture of somebody rolling up their sleeves and getting ready, but you guys already have done that. You've already started, and we're going to talk about that right off the bat. So let's go on to the next slide. When I started this with Ron, I don't know how he convinced me to start it, but I did. Thank you, Ron. It's been wonderful. You had 57 bridges. You still do. Just you've looked at them in a very. I'm pretty proud of what you guys have done. You've taken out those 8 spans, and you've reduced the pressure on you by recognizing that. You found alternate routes for the Cantons, the Reds, Joe Trudeau, Ross, Lost Channel, and Rocky Alter. Okay, rock band, righty. Something else that Ryan and I have worked at was try to change the replacement schedule. If you have 50 bridges, they last 100 years, you would expect, if everything was wonderful, you would expect to replace one when they came up about every 2 years. So we've done that to see how that worked, because in those 2 years apart, you can interlock with other assets that you want to replace at the same time. So you're going to hear this a couple of times. Cash flow is king. Cash flow is king. So in order to make this work, you have to be able to balance your cash flow so you can get it done without having these enormous spikes or peaks that you have to fund. So that worked very well. And in fact, it works so well that a cash flow of 650,000 starting in 26 and incrementing by 50,000 per year for the next 10 years covered the bridges for the next 10 years. In fact, it covered the bridges into 36 and beyond. And I'll even go a little bit further and talk about it again. After 36, you can divert the cash flow from the bridges towards the roads. And you'll see why in the next slide, because we're going to do something with roads you may or may not like. So stunning bit of stuff going on there, going from $14 million, absolutely insurmountable problem for any municipality, not just you guys, to, hey, we can start at 650 and we can keep incrementing up and we can cover the cost of our bridges. It's a bravo moment. It's good for you guys. The streets, I'm only going to focus on the 157 or 60,000 kilometers of hardtop you have. You have a remarkably high pavement condition index in this municipality. It's just remarkable compared to others. Other municipalities are happy to have 59 or 62. You guys have 89 pavement condition index on your pavement. You have 72 on your low cost bituminous. It's amazing. And then if I do the weighted average, you have a weighted average of 81. However, 30% of those roads are class 6. That means less than 50 cars a day. Usually the break point when you start saying we need to pave this road is about 300 cars a day, 250, 300 in that area. To have roads that are only 50 cars a day, like for example, the road I believe on Lost Channel Bridge, we were there for half an hour. We were the only vehicle there for half an hour. Excuse me. So my recommendation is to remove class 6 from the mix, if you will. And it's not meant to rhyme. It's just saying for the next 10 years, not after that, but for the next 10 years, do not replace the class 6 roads, even if they need to be replaced. You need to focus on the weak links as well. And the weak links are the ones that go to Flinton and spelling error, Sulphide, that's sulfide.
Yeah.
Marlbank, Queensboro, and Moneymore. Those kind of roads they have, for the most part, they're good roads. For example, the one that goes to Flinton, that first, I don't know, 3 kilometers or 4. The super elevation is not that super on those corners. Okay. So just have a look at that road for sure. If you focus on those, again, we come to the cash flow is king. You can start with 750 and keep incrementing it by 50, and it covers the cost of that kind of approach for the next while. And if you're doing your arithmetic, the 750 and the 650 pretty much exhaust your 1.5 million that you have. So from here on, you're into the spot where the new ground of financial responsibility, let's say. Let's move on. So facilities, for the most part, and don't look at the 4.5 at the bottom. Don't look at that. Just don't even look at that yet. Your 41 buildings in there with, and this is supposed to be sung to the 12 days of Christmas, 5 community halls, 3 public works, 2 boat launches, and so on. When you get through the whole splash pad hockey rink, you have 24 more buildings in there as well. Total replacement cost is 32 million, according to the data I have. I think that's low. It's probably much more than 32 million. So in the asset management plan on the second 10 years, I put a doubler on that. It sort of doubled everything by 2. So your life cycle costs or funding should be 1.2 million. There were no immediate needs at all in buildings. And so this kind of plugged in very nicely into that is something, hey, we might survive this. We knew the trucks and the pumpers were coming, but this might survive. Plans are meant to be changed. Any plan, you need to put a plan together for sure, but any plan you have will be changed eventually. And Ron dealt me a change about a week and a half ago. He said there's a roof on the rink that needs to be replaced, and the number he gave me at the time was 3 million. So I busily went in there and plugged in 3 million and did the work to make everything work out well. And it ends up puts $4 million on to 2030. This is a problem because 2030 is one of those years that we're replacing a bridge. So on top of the bridge, we've stuck a roof in there, which is even more expensive than a bridge. So we'll see how we tried to work around this. And by this, you get an idea how the asset management plan works. You need to be looking at not just one department, but you need to be looking at Parks and Rec along with Public Works, along with Fire, all at the same time to make sure this stuff meshes together very well. And you need your staff to be doing that as well, for sure. So if we go on to the next one, we knew this was coming, but the one thing I didn't know was coming was the 350,000. That was the chassis payment for the fire trunk. So the pumper tanker has already been ordered. If I understand correctly from Cindy, 164,000 was put towards it in maybe 25. And then chassis is built this coming year. And then finally you get the truck the following year for a slam of 585,000 in 27. As far as other equipment and vehicles, I understand you've lost 3 contractor routes and you have a tandem truck, maybe 2, that didn't pass safety for sure, couldn't be made to pass safety. So 4 trucks have been ordered in the next 3 years, a loader and an excavator. I met your loader. I think her name is EO1, I think. And when you see, and she might be the oldest loader in captivity. You want to put your hand on her and say, good job, girl, and thanks so much for your service. Still chugging though. So the expenditures, when you look at from 26 to 30, they're not massive compared to the $3 million roof. But keep in mind, we'd exhausted with bridges and roads, we'd exhausted the amount of money that we were putting towards capital. So now we're into the over exhausted kind of thing. So the 1.3, the 2, the 1.3, beg for borrows. Sorry, beg for debentures, if you understand. After that, the 0.8 to 1.2 million without the roof on the facility wasn't a problem. Next slide. This is going to be a blast. Oh, good. It's not. Okay. So the criteria that I've used, or that we've used, and Ron and I've talked about, is try to keep the capital tax increase down below 10%. That's what I've used. You may want to try another one, but that's what I've used to try to keep the amount of taxation for capital at below 10%. And try to get funding to at least 5 million by the end of the decade. Try to keep borrowing to a minimum. That's tough. And just talk about borrowing for just a second, because borrowing and long term are kind of the same thing. If you borrow $1 million over 30 years or something, you're actually paying back about 1.9 million. That's the rate. I think the rate now is 4.57% over 30 years. Do the look that at home, do the arithmetic. It's 1.89. If you borrow for 10 years, you're probably paying 30 cents on the dollar. If you're borrowing for 25 years, you're paying about 70 cents on the dollar. So just be aware. My approach was to, yes, a little heavy on the taxes, because long-term borrowing really doesn't get you a lot. It gets you over that hump, but you're not set up for sustainability. That's right. Thank you. Yes, exactly. And try to minimize the reduction of services. If you're, for example, looking at bridges that you guys have approached and you're taking them out that service 50 cars a day and there's an alternate route, I don't think you're impacting a lot on the level of service. If you're looking at class 6 roads that have 50 cars a day and you're maybe not repairing them at the end of their 15-year limit, it's minimal a change to what the level of service is. So let's go to the next one. This is going to be a barrage of data. There we go. I just want you to focus. You can focus all you want on everything that's there, but I just want you to focus on the 3 boxes. The box that's the second one down, that's beside capital increase. So the way this works in 2026, income's the 2.9 or $3 million. What I tried to do was see there just above the second box from the bottom, there's a thing called gap. You try to zero that gap in that box and keep the interest rate below 10%. If you can't do that, then you have to go to the top box and put in what you want to borrow, get it down so that you keep below 10. So I've done this with year after year after year, probably 100 different times I've tried this. I wish I could figure out the equation to solve for this, but I'm not able to do that. I was okay in math, but not that great. However, what you got there is a levy of 8%, then 5.9, then 5.6, then 5.3, 5, and then eventually it levels out at 4 at the end of the decade. Can just carefully go on to the next slide, Lucas. Anybody want to stop there for an instant?
No.
So, okay, so once we install, so that was looking pretty good until we installed the 3 million for the roof on the, and so if you look at 2030, there's a $3.1 million borrow there, or debenture there, and you still have to have a capital levy of 6.3%. So in the same kind of feeling that we've done with bridges, by shuffling them around, by moving things here and there, by trying things, by getting rid of class 6 roads. If you look at the next slide, I've kind of said, well, what if we could get this out of 2030 and into 2031? If you can move the bridge or the roof replacement at 3 million, I understand it might be 2 million, but still, it still holds true here. If you move it to 2031, the debenture would be 1.7 million. That's night and day. the debenture from 3.1 million down to 1.7 million. When you've just heard that a debenture of this nature is going to cost you at least $1.70 on each dollar. If you can move it to 2033, possibly, again, another year that you're not building a bridge, or potentially the bridges can be moved somehow around, that you're not overlapping bridge and roof building, then you're back to this nice gradual 4.8, 4.6, 4.4, 4.2 type of action. So this is the same case as where it says 400,000. I've stuck 400,000 in there, up the debenture enough so that it gets the tax levy where you want it to be. It's a plan. Plans always move around, and I've moved this into 2033. Cindy, the roof may be leaking now. I don't know, but it's a possibility to think about. Do you do a partial repair for a few hundred thousand, or a few hundred thousand? No, sorry, a few thousand, not a few hundred thousand, to get you through to 33 or not. That's the kind of approach that this is about. I think the next slide is we're over. Yeah, so this is the Tweed capital recovery. This is what it looks like. The red line is what hopefully you're increasing your capital involvement from down at the very bottom up towards 5 million in the next 10 years. And you can see that the dark green line is your expectations. And of course, it's looked like the back of a dinosaur. It's sort of all over the place. And you're trying to smooth that out with the light green line, which is really reserves. And it's not reserves that Cindy or a treasurer has to deal with, is pigeonholing the reserves into different spots. I'm just looking at a large sort of economic, this is what the total reserves are in there. I'm not sort of cloister them into one spot saying this is only for the splash pad or anything. This is the total reserve. The next slide is and beyond. Yes, there is the beyond. So if you look at this one carefully, you've got major expenditures in there. I was surprised to hear that the roof was going on to the arena, because the arena is scheduled replaced way out at the end of in 19 years. So that enormous spike there is a replacement of an arena. You have to think about if you're thinking about replacing an arena, if you are, you need to be thinking about, what are we going to put into that arena? Is it just going to be for hockey and ice skating, or are you going to put some municipal offices in there as well? When I was in Huntsville, we had some money from G8 as well, but the arena became a twin pad arena because we had some money, but it also enclosed offices and hallways and just a number of spots. It ended up being a town center for us. There was this pool in there. So everything kind of got enclosed in one municipality instead of having them all over the place. You may want to be looking at that in the future, and some reconciliation about the number of buildings you have.
If I may, Steve, too, the other thing is there's also a possibility that neighboring communities might get rid of their arenas and whatnot, and we'll focus on one major one, we can all share in. Like as part of our master rec plan, we're looking at different little things like that.
Yeah, that's exactly what Smith Falls did. They put in when I was stumbling there to say they put in, Smith Falls got rid of the old Bears Den. It was quite a spot, nice spot to play, but anyway, they put in a new pad. And then of course there's a walking path around the top, and it's packed. Like at lunchtime, it's full of people in there walking in the wintertime, and there's offices down below. So yeah, it's an extremely good idea. Just to recap, that was our outline. And so the outcome is you now have a 10-year asset management plan. I think that makes some sense with financials. You, ladies and gentlemen, are asset rich. Only 60 ratepayers per bridge. That's quite phenomenal. Your growth is holding steady. I don't think you want to be Barrie, like the city of Barrie, growing at 8% per year, because it's a nightmare keeping up with that. You're holding steady right now, and you may be holding steady for a while. Your water and wastewater is adequate for that holding steady. You got a landfill that's going to be around and with you for another 85 years. You've got some green assets. You even have the Trans-Canada Trail that goes right through the center of your town, for God's sakes, and hooks to other trails. We don't have that. The AMP process is looking at what the 25 numbers are and inflating them to let you know how much is going to cost you in the future to replace that. and how much you should be putting away to make sure you can replace that. Or be reconciling as to whether you actually need it or not. At a $4.5 million gap, you've already rolled up your sleeves, you've abandoned, if you will, 8 spans, you've embraced new technology, and we've spaced them 2 years apart in order to mesh with other assets in there. The arena roof, could be in 2033, could be in 2031. It stays in 2030, maybe your bridge had to move somewhere. Reconciliation is needed. Equipment, you've front loaded that. If you do buy the oldest loader in captivity, you have a capital levy at 8% that steadily declines and then decreases to 4% over the next decade. You have a plan in place, I think. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Steve. One of the comments I wanted to make is when CAO Diskey and I met with MPP Brise in August, we talked about the asset management plan. And basically at that time, I was going to show them, I indicated that we wouldn't need to let them know how much money we needed them to help us with. And he said, no, you can't do that. He says, what you have to do is you have to show what tough decisions you're making to get your plan so that it's something you can manage. You have to show what you're going to do financially. And then the other pieces fall into play, but you do not rely on the government to help you solve your problem. This is something that resides on you. And so don't submit an asset management plan that doesn't show that over the years, you're going to have to raise taxes or whatever to bring in the funds that you need to be able to address the problems you're going to have. And so that's why when Ron engaged Steve, we wanted to make sure, and just what you presented is what they are looking for us to submit. Now, I just had one question there too. You said this is to be updated in June of this year, but you said it's good for 5 years?
It's to be reviewed before July 1st, on or before July 1st this year is what section 9 says.
Okay.
Which just means that you have to look at, here's our plan and here's how we're following the plan, or here's how we're utilizing the plan. That's all you have to, you don't have to revise it.
Okay.
In 5 years, you do have to revise it again. You need somebody to come in and look at where you're standing now and make sure that you're getting there.
So then during that 5 years, every year you should report back to the government where you're standing again?
I believe so.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good enough.
The best thing I found is you find somebody in there that you can talk to.
Right.
Rather than just blindly go in and go, here's our plan.
Okay.
They're already expecting, as like I was taught by somebody, is they want to be waiting for you already. You're already talking to them and
Okay.
our stuff is coming and they're anxious to see it.
Okay.
And you're absolutely right. And nobody else has put it as well as you just put it, is saying you just can't go and say with your hand out and say, more, sir, please. You have to say, this is what we've done so far.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any questions? Yes, please, Deputy Mayor.
Some of that money that we're looking at going down the line and having to put away for future assets, is there any kind of, this may be not the right question for this, but any investment strategies that we could utilize to help, I guess, leverage the taxpayer dollar to kind of ease the burden? Is there ways to do that? Like, I mean, I guess if I'm investing $100 of my own money and say in 5 years, it might be worth $113, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I did speak to Cindy about this a little bit, and part of the equations that are used in here are just equations out of Excel. There's nothing like I haven't devised any new equations myself. I've just used what Watson Associate used. And to determine how much you should be putting away, I've left the interest rate at 0.
Mhm.
But if you actually have an interest rate on your funds, however meager, it does make a significant difference. So I'm not sure you can do that. There's a lot of limitations. My significant other is a treasurer, so I hear no limitations about what they can do, and she did invest money, but it's a tough thing. So yes, you can invest some, but there are limitations in what you can do as a treasurer. But I want to just talk to you, just something you said there is, you're putting stuff into reserve, but it's not for a later date. You understand? It's going in, it's coming out.
Yeah.
So the reserve that you might have is always being taxed on as well at the same time. So just, I've heard this, a lot of councils have said this, is so we're putting money away in reserves for a future date. You're really not. You're just, you're putting money in and it's going to pay for that bridge, or it's going to pay for the roof on, you know, and the reserve may grow, and you'd hope the reserve grows because you have to have a reserve of some sort, because things come along like, oh, we need a roof. Oh, wait, we just lost a bridge. We need a bridge right now. So you have to have that in there, because after a while, you've got no borrowing capabilities left.
Mhm.
And you guys seem to really be aware of, more than any other council I've known, that the borrowing money or debentures is a short-term thing. And you have to keep some strength in your community. You need to have that tax base to make sure you have the strength. So I don't know if I made sense there or not, but it's kind of like your own bank account, you know, money's going in, but the rent's coming out that week kind of thing.
Yeah, I guess where I was just going with it, the money that is sitting there to go in and go out, you know, it might better be doing something if you're allowed to do that, I guess is where I was going.
I think
with it.
Gloria had in the past. Gloria did. She had our money. We were getting some savings, like, you know, from money that we weren't using.
Yeah.
So there, but I agree with you. There are limitations of what kind of things we can be like, you know, and I'm sure like Cindy, like you,
Yeah.
you know, knows that we can only do certain
You,
things with.
you're
the-
probably not going to invest in some kind of bonds
No.
or what, you know.
No, exactly. Yes, Councillor Palmetier.
Through the chair, I just didn't know if your experience, more of an asset question. We've got, you talked about our road quality and stuff. The funny thing is that we'll have a stretch of road, 90% of it's good, and then 10% or a little piece of the road begins to fail, and it makes it unsafe. Now some of the roads that weren't on your list there, I question when we did put tar and chip on them, whether that was the right route. And now we're looking back saying, okay, it probably wasn't. Have you ever seen people take them out and put them back into gravel roads? And what kind of response that would get, or how it affects like you said, affect the service?
Thank you for that question. Yes. I haven't seen, I've done it. I started off my career in this area in Huntsville. And Huntsville was, there was a time when there was suddenly a lot of money to turn gravel roads into surface treated roads. And without the proper preparation, they blow apart. And that's the term that Ryan and I would use. They blow apart in a few years. And they blow apart right now when it's really not a lot of frost in the road and you're having to run a plow over top of it. You blow them right into they just go into the ditch. And there's a certain time you put in, like, I think I said 300 cars a day, sort of 300 to 750 or so is tar and chip. After 750, you need to pave, or it's going to be gone in no time at all. And yes, your roads do have that. When I drive here today, although it's a lot of under snow, but Marlbank Road, the far end of it is not good. But this end of it is like a super highway. So there's parts that are bad and good. There are spots in roads that you're talking about, so we've had roads where you drive over rocky terrain and then you're into a swamp. That area will be terrible for sure. So you've got a strip there that really should put down some kind of grid in that road when you build it. And if you don't, it's just going to take the shape of the swamp eventually. So yeah, there are lots of areas where the base of the road suffers. So you have a bad strip of road. And this is what Ryan deals with all the time, that, hey, you know, you can drive the road to Flinton and it's pretty good at the other end. And as closer you get to this end, it gets worse. At least in my mind.
Can I just quote through though, what Councillor Palmetier was saying? Like, what about roads that are currently paved or like tar and chip and then converting them back to gravel?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
It's the first thing I was going to say. Thank you for asking that, is what I said. I've done that exactly myself, where people had a terrible tar and chip road, rough as it can be. And we said, do you want to turn back to gravel? And they said, you can do that. I said, yeah, with a grader. You don't even need a pulverizer. Just graded a few times. We threw some gravel on top of it and they were like, thank you, thank you. Every time I drove by that road, they're all like, so it was an increase in service delivery to get rid of the old tar and chip. At least in my mind, and you don't get residents waving at you in a friendly manner. So
Yeah, they could, my this is just an opinion, you can, if there's a major or an issue or a road starts to break up, you can fix it with a grader.
Yeah.
You're stuck with,
Just charge it.
with tires,
You're
yeah.
not, you're not fixing it.
And it's nobody's fault. It's like you said, we had an opportunity for money and we were starting to improve those because our other assets were fine. Well, now everything's starting to fail again at the same time, so.
At the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, not alone there.
Yes, Councillor Fleeler.
Your worship, thank you. So what risk management policies do we need to implement if we're gonna close bridges and stop maintaining roads and stop maintaining the bridges? Like, we just can't do that. We just, without a policy, without some kind of a mechanism to allow us to do that.
Yeah, the policy you have is the minimum maintenance standards that are relative for roads all over. I don't think we're suggesting closing roads.
But if you don't maintain them, what are you gonna do?
Well, I didn't say not maintain them. I'm just saying the level, the series of class 6 roads is just don't redo them yet. You have to turn them back into gravel.
And I have a problem with the bridges that were suggested to close. Like, we didn't talk about that. We never actually said we're gonna close them.
No,
No.
no, you're right. I think what we've done though is, we have to, we have no choice in this. When we report back to the province, we have to show what we're doing. And these were bridges that we talked about and when we had the bridge forum and stuff as well. And you're right, a formal decision hasn't been made. But the point is if we're going to be able to do what we have to do, Jim, as you know, there's no way we can fix any of those bridges. We can't.
I went
Yeah.
on the road tour for 2 days and I understand this, but it seems like we just picked bridges. We
No, Brian and them used the OSIM report and looked at the quality and the structure of the bridges and what was going to be
Yeah, so-
required to be done.
That's another question I have is how accurate is that OSIM report? Like, I mean, is it accurate enough that we can say, this bridge is toast?
But let's follow through on your thought. Say, for example, we replaced 8 bridges that, but they're near in their life, like with 3 to 5 years. And we had to replace those bridges. Where do we find the money to do?
No, I understand.
No, but I mean, we gotta look at it in
Yeah,
its
yeah.
entirety when we say
Yes,
this.
I understand that,
Yeah.
but we need to put a plan in place to show that we definitely know our direction.
And I
That's
think,
all I'm
and I think that's in this, that we talk about what bridges and whatnot in this report, what we're gonna fix, when we're gonna do it, when it's gonna happen. Later on. Yes, go ahead, Councillor.
With respect to what Councillor Fleeter was saying, I think we have to be confident that the people we hire, employ, are giving us accurate information on what should or shouldn't be closed or where they are in their lifespan. I'm not capable, and I don't know if we don't want to hire multiple consultants to go to do the
Engineers.
same thing, right? We hire a group of people to do that and we trust that they're providing us with accurate information.
Yes, Councillor Palmetier.
Just as an example, to briefly cover the bridge thing, very similar bridges, the 2 on Cars Road and then 2 down on Rapids Road. They're very similar structures, very similar cost. Both are in rough shape. But if we go to Rapids and we try to go from one side to the other, that's kind of the comparable we're using. That's quite a tour to go all the way around. Where if we go to Cars Road and then we have to go back out and go out to Marlbank and cross around through Stokoe, then, that route is attainable, doesn't affect the level of service. And I think that's what we focused on when we did that discussion that day. And a big piece of that was we on paper are saying we're closing them, but that decision's not made until the time comes.
Yeah, right.
And that council at the time will make that decision.
That's right.
Yeah.
And we will maintain, we'll keep them clean and do the work we have to on, but we're not going to invest anything significant
Yeah.
in the bridge.
So your worship, guaranteed Kate's Weir or the Lost Channel will be closed, but I can't understand how we could close them both. So that's what I say, we need a plan and clear direction before we get to the point where we lose them both without
Well, I think too, if I just one moment, I think too, the other thing is that when we look at these, we want to make sure that we have alternative routes that don't take people more than 10 minutes or whatever. And that's our goal. So as long as that is the case, that's what will guide us. So like, even if you say those two are going to be closed, if there's an alternative route for both on both sides, that's 10 minutes or less, then that's sort of one of the mitigating factors. Now, if I may, I'm sorry, the CAO Diskey wanted to say something.
Through the chair, I just wanted to remind council that this is just a starting point, right? And any decisions made going forward
Yes.
will come to council, with rationalization, with evidence, and with justification, to help you make your decisions. So Steve has done an amazing job, and staff have had a ton of input into this, and working with Steve was a lot of fun. So we look forward to moving forward with this plan and bringing recommendations forward to the council, whether it's this council, the next council, because this is a living document and it will continue, for as long as Tweed continues. So there's lots of opportunity, but like I said, we will bring you justification, rationalization, and reasons why we're making these recommendations. And over time, can improve the bottom line by doing stuff like that.
And if I may, the other thing is, and as you mentioned, we spent 2 days, all of us together, visiting these places and looking at the conditions and talking about what could happen and stuff like that. So we've also been part of that discussion as well. But I thank you very much for summarizing it the way that you did. This is our starting, this is giving us a good foundation on which to proceed. We've got to send something in to the government, and so we'll at some point, once we feel comfortable, we'll be sending this in because we're a little late on the asset management plan, and we want to get it in basically too as soon as possible because it'll also affect our OSIF funding. And so this is preliminary. We're showing them what we're trying to do. Okay. Now, and as CAO Diskey said, this thing will change. It will change, but at least it gives us a starting point, and it gives us an opportunity to show the government that we are prepared to make hard decisions. But regardless of that, we're still going to need your support.
Yeah.
Okay. And we will continue to always apply for funding. Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. I got to pull this back up. Sorry. First of all, Steve, thank you very much. I loved reading what I read. I love your the way you describe things as well, and I love your little bit of humor in it too. I know, even though it's not a funny topic. Okay, thank you. So, be it resolved that council receive the asset management plan as presented, and further that council endorse the asset management plan in principle. And further that staff submit the asset plan to the province, and further that any recommendations and decisions regarding the asset management plan be presented to council for consideration and approval. Well, there we go. There was you had it all summarized right there in the motion. Sorry about that. Oh, did I get a mover and a seconder? Oh, never shows up. Do you guys have it? Okay, that's good. I just want to make sure it wasn't me. Okay, all in favor? Thank you. Okay, now you wanted to go next, did you say?
Through the chair, well, we're going to have Cindy go after our treasurer starts the budget process, and then I'm going to do the admin, and then we're just going to move Cindy's community development up ahead so that she goes before fire and works.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, over to you, Cindy. Oh, we see your little face there.
Okay, good afternoon, your worship and council.
Good afternoon.
What I'm going to do right now is just to go over the summary document that you have. The summary is it's the 10-year plan, and the top part of the table identifies the departments, and the bottom part identifies the funding. So is everyone on the page?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So essentially, what this says in 2026, so the breakdown is by the department. The departments are going to go over their budgets, but you'll see that administration, we're asking for 53,500, and that'll be explained. Fire, 421,500. Public Works, $2.4 million. Water and sewer, 843,750. There's no spending in waste planned for 2026. And in recreation and community development, 265,700. So the total capital expenditures identified are just a little over $4 million. And then after that, I've removed the expenditures on water and sewer because that's self-funding. So the amount that we need to fund is $3,198,758. So below that identifies the funding sources that we are pretty sure we have. The gas tax funding, the federal funding is $389,442. I just want to mention that half of that actually is coming from Hastings County because we only get half of that from the federal government. Hastings County gives us the other half of that portion. So I hope they continue to do that. The OSIF funding is approximately $339. I think I kept the funding stable throughout all those years, and you might wonder why. And I guess it's because in some cases, some municipalities, they're actually reducing OSIF funding. So for example, I know at Rideau Lakes, the funding started to reduce by 15% every year. And I'm not exactly sure what they're doing that for, but so far you're okay. So we have some reserve funding in there of $268,000. Now, the way that I identified that was I looked at your 2025 budget to see how much was budgeted in transfers to reserves. So I wanted to keep at least include that same amount, but you can always, well, we can increase it if you have more in reserves, but there's not a heck of a lot in reserves anyway. So that's what's budgeted for reserves or from reserves. Then there's some small other grants. The $51,700 are all from the community development grants. I think there's a accessibility grant. And I just actually yesterday I was looking at all the donations that have come in for the pool heater. And then there's some transfers. People have asked for some transfers from funding from the pump track to the pool heater. That's going to be purchased in 2026. And the total donations are is over 20,000, and I haven't included that because I just found that yesterday. So on top of the 51,000, there's another 20,000 of donations coming in for the pool heater, which almost completely covers the cost of the pool heater. So I don't know, good for you, Cindy, or who's doing this, but you guys are awesome at raising donations. So down further below, you see 96,946. Now in 2025. You did identify a specific rate for infrastructure, and that rate, it's 1 point something or other percent, is generating 96,000 specifically for infrastructure. So you've already started that, which is a really good thing. Now we have to kind of build on that. The 371,973 coming from general taxation. Well, this is a really iffy thing. So in 2025, once you've funded your operating budget, the amount that was surplus after paying the cost for operating was 371,973. Not very much money, but if there's increases in the operating cost, that could be zero. So that number is very volatile. It can change. So the amount here of total funding before financing is $1.5 million, which would mean without any tax rate increase for infrastructure, we'd have to finance almost $1.7 million. But what I'm suggesting, and I know Steve in his asset management plan has started off with an 8% increase and then geared it downwards. I'm only recommending a 6% increase and keep it stable all the way across, because there's going to be increases in the operating cost, because when we have to borrow another $1.5 million, that's going to increase our operating costs because we have to pay down that debt. So my recommendation here is that for infrastructure, we set a specific rate for a 6% tax rate increase. This is needed to increase every single year. So you'll see that the 342 grows to 684 to 1 million to 1.3 million. And at the end of 2035, it's at $3.4 million. Well, it'll be more than that because of increases in the tax. Everything ultimately is increasing. So, but you can see that on this chart alone, in 2035, if you continue to do that, you're generating an extra almost $3.5 million to cover your infrastructure, which is, it's really good. Like you're going in the right direction. So if you do the 6% tax rate increase for infrastructure, then it looks like we will probably need to borrow 1,338,272. And I'm only going to talk about the 2026 part because the outer years are outer years, and it's just, just trying to gauge what we need to do in the future. And I think that's all I want to say about the summary.
Okay. Okay, Ron, is it over to you now to do something on the admin side?
Sorry, through the chair, we're now going to the library for the external presentations.
Okay, sorry. Okay, welcome Shannon, and I see you have Dan Van Exen with you, and Al had to leave?
Yeah.
Okay, good. That's right. Anyway, welcome Shannon.
Lucas has got a short video that we prepared, so I'll show you that, and then if there's any questions for me at the end, please feel free.
Wonderful video. I just want to make a couple of comments, if I may. First of all, it's wonderful to see how many of our community that you serve. I mean, that is beyond unbelievable. And the nice thing about our library, it's a socioeconomic equalizer. You don't need money to play the game. And that's why it's very important. It's also a great opportunity for our seniors, okay, who rely on this, especially when isolation is a killer in our communities. And the programs that you foster and develop and support is greatly appreciated. I also want to make a comment on something that wasn't in your video, and that was the food services. Okay, Shannon sits on the group that operates out of Gateway Food for All. She has partnered with Gateway in ensuring that there's food in the library for those who are in need. People could come in and grab a meal to go, no questions asked, nothing. It's for many people, the whole concept of having to ask for food is embarrassing, and nobody need be embarrassed. And the services that you provide in that regard, the hours that you're open, in addition to when the food bank might not be open, is a critical asset. and as a critical service to our community. And I want to thank you and your team for doing it. I also want to mention how graciously you handled the homeless situation that we confronted earlier this year as well, and working with Community and Human Services at the Hastings County and finding a residence for those individuals. The services you provide are amazing.
Yes, if I could speak to the Food for All, also in addition to the meals that are provided at the library. So we have 15 meals that go out a week. It's a meal kit in a bag, and it's basically shelf stable items that you can take home, and you'll get a meal or two out of them. Like I said, we provide 15 a week right now, and they're gone within a day or two. And also out of that, we are addressing the need for food insecurity within kids. So myself and Renee at the Gateway Community Health after school weekly teach children the importance of nutrition and how to cook. And that program right now has a wait list because we just can't, there's so many kids that are just eager to learn and, want to know what can I do with this and from that. So right now it's 10 kids we do a 6-week program with. And then we immediately start with another one. And like I said, there's a wait list probably of 25, 30 kids right now to get into it. So with funding that we've secured through Hastings County and other donations and stuff, we've been able to provide that. So last year alone, we got a grant for $10,000 to do that. I've worked with Gateway again this year and trying to secure some funds, and we're asking again for an additional 10 to continue these programs. So
But congratulations. I mean,
Yes,
it's
thank
wonderful. And you've got such an amazing staff that have been with you for a while,
yes.
like Nikki, for example.
Mhm.
And then now you've got Tara on there, and I don't
Yep.
know if people realize, but Tara writes graphics for children's books.
Yes, and to speak to Tara, her first month, she went to both schools and saw every single class come to our library. So in her first month alone, we saw over 800 kids. She approached every single class and said, look, you're coming to the library, whether you like it or not. And they came. And she did a presentation with them and whatnot. So that was, very well
You've got a
received. And
great
we hope to
team.
do that again this year. So
You've got a great team.
yes, we do have a really great team.
So, okay. We have your budget. How about we?
Yes, yeah.
Yep, okay. I just got to pull it up here, sorry. So you're not asking for much of an increase from us.
No, so there are some things in terms of my staffing and wage portion of my budget. I'm still working with CEO Diskey and the treasurer to get those numbers a little bit corrected because I did notice some discrepancies in terms of like WSIB figures and CPP figures. So those numbers are likely to change just because we're doing Gloria, CEO Rayborn would send over a forecast and say, this is how much money we expect that you're going to use. And because I don't have access to those numbers, the municipality does my payroll for the staff. And the current treasurer just wasn't used to the system that was in place. So we're just kind of drafting something up right now. So I was told just to submit those figures to you. And hopefully by the next meeting, we'll have more accurate numbers for you to work with, but
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
Good. Yes, I'll go ahead, Councilor Valiquette.
When that comes back to us, I'm just looking at your staffing costs
yes,
and 2025 budget your budget is different than your actual.
that's correct. And so I did point that out to the treasurer because you'll notice things like CPP and WSIB. In fact, she was projecting $1,595 was going to be my actuals or my budget for 2026. But if you look at my actuals for 2025, well, I'm already at almost $2,500. So that's where we're going to need to make those changes in terms of the calculations and things like that. So
Fair enough.
yeah,
And that's where you're working with Cindy, you said, because
Yeah.
Cindy is realigning a lot of our
that's right. Yeah.
programming
Yep.
stuff. Okay, the other thing is you have Oh, no, that's been dealt with, so I'm not gonna even raise that. Okay. Well, when you look at even the total cost, which includes your grants and like, you know, donations and stuff like that. The cost for 38%, I think, of the 2,500 residents that utilize this, that's good bang for our buck in this community, I'll tell you.
Yes, thank you.
The other thing is I was at Quinte West. I was there for a different meeting and they gave us a tour and we went into their library and they had this lending program like you do. And like they congratulated us on the fact that our library was able to do the same thing, that you are offering the same things that a big library are.
Yeah.
And so that's wonderful that you built those relationships, like with Sterling, the lending library, and then what you're offering within our own library, which is really nice to see.
Yes, no, absolutely. The gardening tool lending program is just soaring with seniors right now because, you know, they don't want to go out and buy a rake that they're only going to have to use once, so they can just come to the library and, you know, borrow it for a couple of days. And they're great about it. You know, they return it. If there's any, you know, sharpening or things needed, they'll often say, well, hey, you know, we've done it for you. So yeah, things like
That's
that
good.
really do make an impact.
Well, anybody have any questions or comments? Yes, go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Just a comment that, it's hard to, it's really, how do you say? It's really incredible just how many people take advantage of all the various programs. And in my time with the library board, I was always really impressed on, the efficiency in which it's run. I mean, you never come, like, it's just, every dollar is made a maximum use and gain, and if you add it up for the number of users, we're getting a huge, massive bang for a buck, and I think you all do a really good job over there stretching the dollar. So, and this isn't what they asked, in my opinion, so that's neat. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
One other comment, I'm just trying to find it here. The provincial contribution, how much is that now?
The provincial contribution is 12,676.
Oh, and that's been the same since when?
It has been 28 years.
28 years. Oh, it must be adjusted with inflation.
They have the Federation of Ontario Public Libraries continues to ask for that from the provincial government. We have made some headway in other areas of their asks. So the Federation of Ontario Public Libraries has 3 asks. They wanted to see increase in funding in First Nation public libraries, and that was successful. The federal government, the provincial government stepped up with $3.5 million. So it was a big win for our area, especially Kanehote Library, because it's a one-person show there, and just to run programs for their patrons, she would have to close the library because there wasn't anybody to man the desk, and so that is a huge success for her because she's been able to update her technology. She's been able to, as far as I know, bring in somebody else to provide more services such as Tweed can offer. So that was a big success story. The second ask that they're working towards is an Ontario province-wide access to e-resources. So if anybody has, you know, seen the Toronto Public Library, it's great what they have to offer. And we all stepped in and said, well, I'd like to offer those things too, but I can't afford it. How can we make these same resources, you know, to everybody? So they're trying to do that. Their ask right now, I think, is just under $4 million to make that happen. They have been unsuccessful so far in securing those funds, but they've stepped up in other areas. So connectivity funding for us. So I get fully funded internet services because of our area. They're talking about bringing in fiber, faster speeds and whatnot to me, fully funded. So other things are happening, just, you know.
When you think of that last ask, you just said 4 million in
Yeah.
the grand scheme of things, that's a drop in the bucket.
It
You
is.
think of what we're spending on other things at the provincial level. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, 4 million,
Absolutely.
that's a provincial ask.
Yes.
Jeez.
And it would just make it province-wide for all of us so that we would have the same access. So we'll see. They've been asking for it for a few years. One of these years we might get it, but you just never know. So
In 2024, we did a delegation on behalf of the library.
yes,
And it was very well received. I mean, think it was Assistant Deputy Minister Smith, was that her name?
think so.
Yeah, and she was very, very receptive and whatnot. And like, one of the best delegations actually we had, feeling good when we left.
Mhm.
And it's too bad that nothing has come of that since. Maybe it might be time to, we should write another letter, even to her attention, not to the minister, since she's the one that we dealt with, saying like, okay, let's make that a priority, okay? I've got all her information, everything. Let's write her
Absolutely,
a
yep.
letter. Okay.
Yep.
Good. Yes, and you're our board member, aren't you?
Yes,
I
I
mean,
am, and it's a
council.
pleasure to sit with such a group of people. They're always well-informed, they're committed, they're always ready and eager. They don't miss a trick. I feel, yeah, although I'm kind of reserved over there, I appreciate the decisions made by the board.
No,
Honest.
thank you.
Honest group,
Thank you, Jim.
hardworking.
Thank you for sitting on that board as well,
Well,
representing council.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.
And the
for-
board here.
Thank you for allowing me to sit on the board.
No, thank you.
Okay, any other questions?
Just real quickly, I just want to say the library is such an important part of our community. It's kind of like, an unsung hero that just works quietly in the background, making a difference in so many lives.
Oh, well, no,
Thank you very much.
thank you very much. Yes. Yes.
Great, okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll move on. Sorry, I just want to close this. So we're going, okay, we also had a request, if you recall, when we had Victoria Treverton in here. She made a request for Affordable Service Central Hastings Transit, requesting continued finance support for 2026. And we had been giving 3,000, and I think that made a request for us to up that to 5,000. I don't know if people have saw a recent post that they did. They have certain days, like there's a day in Tweed, there's a day in Marmor, there's a day in Sterling, there's a day in Center Hastings. And say the day in Tweed, it's always the same day, say a Wednesday. You can pay $5 and they will pick you up and take you to appointments in Tweed, take you to do grocery shopping. It's like a little bus service. And I mean, this is wonderful for those people who basically are housebound or like, don't have an opportunity to get out. So in addition to the service they provide to Belleville, which costs more, they've now introduced this local service as well, which I think is wonderful. So the request, and what are we doing now? We're just tabling these requests, or are we saying we're not agreeing to do anything. We're just gonna table. Okay, and they'll be in there now. Okay, so will we go with 5,000 as opposed to the 3,000?
I think we could put it in there and we could
That's right.
have that conversation when it comes up.
So we'll put it in at 5, okay? Okay, that's good. Any questions on that, by the way? Sorry.
No questions, but I think the thing we gotta take away is Tweed has 38% ridership on that.
Oh, yeah.
those buses. So we're the biggest riders by
We
far.
are, definitely. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Okay, Lions Club. The Lions Club is put a request to have their floors. Oh, yes, I did. Okay, they have a series of requests in here. Ron, can I get you to walk us through each of them, if you would? Because you had a meeting with Vicky, I believe, and with Tim. Vicky being the chair.
All right, so just going through these, there's a couple of them in play here. The first one is regarding some parking requests. So they've, through the chair, the first request would be to have the parking spaces designated as accessible parking right across from the front entrance, and they would like those painted. Ryan has done some estimations on that, and that would be about $1,100. So we will refer that to the budget process as well. And as well, I guess it's the parking lot to the east. There's a parking lot further up. The road just to the east, there's a property in between, and then we have a parking lot that is used for their use during performances, and they want that expanded. So we have a price of about $11,000 from a contractor to do that one as well. So
Okay.
again, refer to the budget. No decision needs to be made at this time. So the outdoor stage request, there's a number of things here. And will be covered through the budget process and a separate cover report. but one would be to change the ownership of the stage. And then there's another one regarding a loan obligation.
The ownership is changed. We
Okay.
now own, what they, I think looking at there is they don't want to manage the bookings on it.
That's correct, yes.
Okay.
Okay. And then there's a loan regarding the stage. I believe the initial loan was $50,000. It would be somewhere around, we're not sure right now, staff still haven't investigated this, but around $40,000. And they would like forgiveness of that loan. So again, that would be covered under a separate report and referred to the budget process. And then the last, I believe they are asking for a donation.
Of
I think it was
$2,000.
2,000, yes, $2,000. So again, refer that to the budget process and we will ensure that that's covered in the operating presentation as well.
Any questions on the Tweed and Co asks?
I just had one. And it was regarding the Kinlake Hall. I didn't understand what you're asking.
I think Finlay Hall, that was more like they want to be able to access it more readily because of the or like they've been hosting dinners there prior to some shows, and then
Programming.
programming. They want to do programming there, like youth theater and stuff. But I don't understand why that's coming to budget thing. That should just
That's a separate
that's a
issue.
separate- that
That's
should just be a request that comes through.
Yeah.
That's why I did, wasn't. sure
Yeah,
if
yeah,
you're
it's not a
asking.
budget thing.
no, it's a programming request so that they can teach dance classes and some theater and arts classes there as well. So being directly across the road, they're going to work with Cindy and Brittany to possibly make
Yeah.
that happen.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, good, thank you. So we did CHSN. Okay, we'll move to the Lions Club. Here, the Lions Club is requesting that the floor needs to be redone there, and they're saying not to redo the sanding anymore. It's been done too many times, and perhaps putting down laminate flooring, I guess it is, in place. And what the cost of that was $1,100 or something?
Through the chair, it was more than that. They're asking for 1,800.
Okay.
I like this, the way this is structured. They will be committing half as well, so 1,800 plus they will be doing the labor. So the installation through their volunteers.
Okay, thank you. And then Heart of Hastings Hospice. Oops, okay, typically we have been giving, I guess it is 5,000 a year for the Heart of Hastings Hospice, and they're asking for that to continue. So that will be put in as well, right? Okay. All right. Are we going to move on to administration summary, or are we going to go to Vincent? Okay. Would you want to do some placement?
Do I just go to the map?
Yeah, go ahead.
Through the chair, just starting up, going through the different departments of the municipality. We're going to start off with administration. During this process, staff, for example, Public Works or Community Development, will be presenting their budgets on behalf of themselves, obviously. We're going to concentrate on the 2026 ask. I know the budget is forecasted out to 2035, and that is similar to the asset management plan, where we're forecasting out and things can be fluid or living there. They can change based on what happens in the coming years. Something new to the budget this year is what we call the capital project detail sheets. That has a little bit of information for you on each project that we are, or each budget item that is on the list for 2026. So the first one is computers. This is just a regular upgrade program to ensure that we have proper hardware within our civic building for staff to utilize. The next one is software.
Me.
Yes,
Now, when you have your meeting with Larry Dean next week, that number could possibly change once he takes a look at what we have and how old it is and whatnot.
absolutely correct. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Software. This is a number of financial pieces of software that our treasurer, Cynthia Lepard, has asked us to include in the budget. One is for budgeting purposes, and it also has a couple of different modules for payroll. So this is something that
You just died. Oh, is he? Okay. You're okay, I guess.
so this is an ask for software that will help us manage our financials better and to be able to have software that feeds our general ledger into other accounting processes and reports that staff can utilize and run and provide, for example, quarterly reports to council, things of that nature. The next one are printer scanners. Again, this is just increasing or ensuring that our hardware stays up to date. The next one is, I missed something here, sorry.
Furniture.
I did furniture first. Furniture, so this will assist us with ensuring that we continue to have proper chairs, proper desks for staff. And as you can see, that's a bit of a program so that we will be continuing to address any deficiencies over the next 10 years. The next one are iPads for council. I'm sorry, printers and scanners are next. Again, keeping our hardware up to date. And the last item would be iPads for council. Council will go through an election cycle next year and provide new hardware for councilors.
Okay. Any questions? Seeing none, okay. Now we'll move on to Cindy, and Cindy, your item on our agenda is 13. Oh. Okay, you're up towards the end.
Yeah, 7.
What,
No, it's chapter 7, I think. Nope. Yep.
Good afternoon, Mayor and members of council. I'm here to present the Community Development, Parks and Recreation portion of the draft capital budget. This section focuses on strategic investments that enhance community spaces, recreational facilities, and amenities that support active, healthy lifestyles for residents and visitors. Our proposed projects for 2026 strike a balance between maintaining existing assets and creating opportunities to expand and modernize our offerings. Key priorities include upgrades to the Tweed Arena to improve functionality and user experience, enhancements to our park to ensure safety and accessibility, and updates to the splash pad to keep it vibrant and engaging for families. These investments reflect our commitment to providing high-quality recreational spaces that support active living and community well-being. With that overview in mind, let's take a closer look at the specific capital items and their associated costs. I can walk you through the budget line by line if you wish, or I can answer any questions that you have.
Let's take a look at what you're requesting in the sheets
Okay.
that Ron just did, and
Yeah, we can go line by line if you would like. The first item that we have is security cameras for the Tweed Arena. We are thinking of installing cloud-based security cameras, very similar to the Nest, personal sort of home installation. But that would be $6,000, and it would be 6 cameras placed near the entrance and exits and public areas. There will be a flat initial fee and then an annual monitoring fee associated with those security cameras. Next item is the canteen grill. Currently, the existing grill is outdated and poses several safety hazards. Several worn components and deteriorating parts would increase the risk of fire, electrical shock, and equipment failure. So replacing the grill with a compliant model would ensure safe operation. Over at the arena. The next item is arena folding tables. It's pretty much to replace the existing old wooden ones.
this has been on the agenda for,
Yeah, and that would mean 15 additional tables at $200 each.
okay.
Next item is the annual tree removal and planting. It's $6,000, removing hazardous trees and planting new ones.
And is this like in our park areas?
That's right. So it's an annual program. Last year was 32,000, and I think we're just going to do $6,000.
And we raised a significant amount of money when we
That's
did a
right.
tree planting program.
That's
That
right.
was last year or the year before?
2024.
Okay, years, okay, thank you.
Next time is the
Right.
annual program as well. Oh,
The tree planting and removal, is that municipality wide or?
yes.
Thanks.
Next item is an annual program as well. It's to replace our garbage and recycling receptacles in all of parks and in the village. So we believe a total of 5 to 10 different receptacles will be replaced that are currently damaged.
And they are damaged because.
Just from usage.
Just regular.
Yeah, even our doggy bag receptacle sort of.
They're old.
Yeah, they're old, so they need to be replaced this
good.
year.
Thank you.
Next item is Christmas decorations, and that too is an annual program. And just allows for us to cover the replacement of worn holiday fixtures and lighting.
Okay.
Next item is the Marlbank ball diamond fencing. The existing fencing is pretty much deteriorating and no longer meets safety and functional standards, and that's at $15,000.
Okay.
Next item is the riding mower. We would like to replace a 215 lawnmower with a new model, and that would come in at $30,000. And the current mower will be sold or traded in. Next item is the Stokel Ball Diamond Culvert. Budgeted amount is $12,000. I don't know if Ryan would want to speak to that. He'll be doing the work for that project.
Go ahead, Rod.
So we attempted to do the culvert this year. We were notified by Quinte Conservation that some changes had to be made. In the end, we would have had a considerable cost savings the way it went. Unfortunately, one of our staff members had run into one of the hydro poles out there and had knocked it over. So there was a cost to replace that and the permitting as well. But comes springtime, we'd like to attempt it and get it to Quinte Conservation's specifications, we'll say.
So is it, what Quinte Conservation is requesting, is it more than what we originally anticipated we were going to do?
Try this again.
I don't think you need to, just worry about it. Okay. Yeah, keep it away.
Is that the trick?
Yeah, go outside and speak into the mic.
The cost should be bang on what we're expecting.
Oh, okay.
I'm hoping there's a bit of cost savings there too.
Okay,
so,
sweet.
yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Councillor Fleetwood.
Why, did they not, I thought they already did that work there, but
Through the chair, the work was completed, but it wasn't to satisfaction of Quinte Conservation. So they're requiring a few alterations be done.
And what we basically did was replace the damaged culvert.
To the chair, the culvert, yeah, was essentially collapsed. There was no water moving through it. So we came up with an idea to do a French drain style.
Okay.
Once it was installed, Quinte Conservation notified us that was in their floodplain essentially, and that we needed permission from them to do this project. So they came back, made all these changes on us and said, well, we need this, we need that. So this is what we're attempting to do now.
Go ahead.
Your worship, what happens if we don't?
Yeah. No.
I'm just,
No.
we're strapped with the budget. Those guys are working like crazy right now. We're trying to fix something on our property. Like it doesn't affect the building or anything like
No.
that.
And we're addressing an issue that we had with the culvert. Go ahead.
Through the chair. So what I was told is from Quinte Conservation, I think they're just doing their big spiel on something like this. It was up to $1 million fine if we don't fix it, and 3 to 6 months in jail for whoever the project manager was.
For Christ's sake, Jesus.
That's what I was.
Go ahead.
Is there any way that we could go back to them and see if there's some kind of other agreement that we could go to?
Okay, you're a rep. Would you
Yeah,
mind?
But we should send a letter though.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Just to make it, so we have a
Should just put the
paper trail, but
Yeah, go ahead.
Through the chair, so there was 2 options we could come up with there. Replace it as is,
Or we could install the pipe halfway down there and then pipe it from where the bleachers start, where people sit. But then we have an open trench through there. To do something like that would save us half the amount, but then we have that risk of the trench. There was one more option. We could essentially put a ditch all the way down through there, and that would be our time and labor, and they would be satisfied with that. The issue with that is we have kids, families playing out there, and there's a risk of them falling into it. Tripping hazard, maintaining with the lawnmowers, it's going to be hard to get in and out. So, but we have that option as well if we choose not to do a culvert.
Your worship, a ditch is just gonna be poison parsnip in that area.
Poison parsnip. That's what we'll end up taking over. Okay, leave this in and let's do it, Councillor Fleeler said, and let's write a letter to Quinte Conservation. And that, well, $1 million in 6 months in jail for crying out loud. There's a lot.
So what is the, like, the issue is they don't think that system that you install will move enough water?
Through the chair, that's correct. Yeah. The system we put in was a 6-inch Big O with a French drain, clear stow line the whole way through. But their engineers aren't satisfied with that, opposed to the pipe that was collapsed out there already.
Can we, okay, so nothing was happening with the collapsed pipe. So what we did is we remedied the situation to make it better. And they said they're not prepared to settle with the Toyota Corolla. They want yes, right, they want the Mercedes, even though it's fixing an issue that was there that was bad.
Oh, I was gonna say, again, when that's completely underwater, that pipe doesn't run water. Yeah. That all line's underwater for.
Okay, I think-
years.
I think we're gonna need more reasons for them as to why the solution. Now, have you already done that solution? Or you had to take it out?
Through the chair, the solution I'm offering is to pipe the whole thing. There is a permit involved. We weren't aware of that, so I've applied for the permit. They're fine with me doing either piping the whole thing or doing an open ditch to the thing. But there was a permit process that we weren't aware of, and we have to fulfill whatever they're requiring. So,
Just out of curiosity, how did they find out?
through the chair, I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but there was a couple complaints made by neighbors out there, so they weren't happy with what was going on.
So, but had you done, with this French drain thing you're talking about, had you already done it and then they told you that would, so is it still there now?
That's what's there.
Okay, so I think what we do is we ask them, can we leave what we got there now? No, we write a letter expressing our,
We take it off of our public works staff.
yeah,
Is that what you're
it's not on you
suggesting,
guys,
Your
yeah,
Worship?
yeah.
Like council will take it on, right?
Yeah, we'll fight them on this one, okay? Yeah,
Yeah, take the responsibility, not, they were doing what they thought was in the right.
That's right.
And from my perspective and from what I gather from some councils as well, like, we would have thought that was in the right as well,
that's right.
so.
Okay, so, but we'll write the letter like Councillor Fleeler said, saying to them that we take exception to the fact that they're not accepting this issue when it was a real hazard before, and now it's been fixed, but it's not fixed to the extent that they want. At least it's a solution, and that's what we would like to stick with. Okay, so you can work with Ryan on writing that letter for us, and we will all sign it. Okay, thank you. Picnic table replacement.
Yes, on to our next item, picnic table replacement at Tweed Memorial Park, $16,000, which would mean the replacement of the 8 picnic tables at $2,000 each. It's a low priority, but we would like to see them upgraded at some point. Just because they are starting to rust and get some wear to them in the seating area, and just, we don't want it to pose any sort of dangerous element to it.
Okey-doke.
Next item is the pool heater. Budgeted amount is 24,000. And as Cynthia, our treasurer, said previously, about $21,000 have been raised through donations, and 12,000 has been set aside in reserves for this project. So we're hoping to get that ordered up.
Okay, Deputy Mayor has a question.
And that this probably can go to Cindy. I noticed on her stuff, were three items here that identified a funding source and one, for the donations and grants and that kind of stuff. I just found it a bit confusing how much we were being asked to budget, because it didn't show, like, she just said 21,000's already been raised,
Yes.
but it's only asking us really for 3,000.
I think what.
So you know what I mean, or
Yeah.
you don't know that?
But Cindy had mentioned, Cynthia.
Yeah, she just,
Mentioned that she was just made aware, okay,
yes, we
after
were
this was
responding
done,
last night.
about transferring.
Oh,
funds.
so I'm not just
Yeah,
talking this
yeah.
one, but there's others too,
Okay.
it's just like, there's, a Trillium Foundation grant, so I'm not sure whether they're asking us for 15, how much of the Trillium grant is.
It's 100% funded.
Okay, so that's where I was getting confused. on
Yeah.
that, So I just wanted to clarify.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
We'll continue.
Next item is the outdoor stage, staining of the outdoor stage. Currently it is bare and, it will need, some staining to protect, to preserve the wood. Just over time, it's just gonna cause the wood to rot if we don't do anything about it right now.
Go ahead, Councilor Fleer. Go ahead.
Sorry, your worship.
No.
So that's 30 grand?
About
Yeah.
$30,000. We want to do the outside and then we also want to do the inside as
I
long.
believe it. Said the same thing. Go ahead, Councilor.
How often
How often?
will we need to stain that?
I believe she said it should be good for 10 years.
Oh.
Still, it's.
It's a lot of money, but
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
Yeah. I mean, it's the kind of thing that would be great if we could get funding for, like,
Yeah,
Yes,
you
please.
can see that some of the wood have started to turn on the exterior of
starting
the
to turn
outdoor
up.
stage. Yeah.
Go ahead, CEO Diskey.
Just through the chair, just keep in mind the height of this stage to do it safely. We don't want people climbing up ladders to try to stain this. They're gonna need some type of cherry picker, so there'll be a rental for that type of equipment to reach the higher spots on the stage from the exterior and the interior.
Okay, arena emergency.
Arena emergency exit drawings. In 2024, we had a arena inspection, and this was one of the items that was a high priority to get engineer drawings for the arena to comply with current building code.
Can I
and
ask a
safety
question?
standards.
Yes, please.
So I'm curious, we own 42 buildings through the municipality. If we go through all of those, I guarantee you that we don't meet the building code in probably 90% of them. How can somebody come to us after the fact?
Mhm.
The emergency exits have been there and they were compliant at the time we put them in. And then they come to us and say, we have to change those now. I don't see the logic.
I can talk to our CBO. I know the building code changes from time to time. It could be that.
Well, I
it could be
get
that
that.
scenario.
We're building a new arena tomorrow. I'm 100%.
Mhm.
They need to comply, but I don't understand why something was compliant when we put it in. 15 years later, whatever it is, they look at it and go, oh, that doesn't comply today. You've got to change that.
That's because we're a public organization. And the thing is the liability issues that we would, once something like that's brought to our attention, if we don't,
Mhm.
we become liable.
But
with
it's
it.
literally every building we have.
Yeah, well, I mean, we focus on the ones that have been brought to our attention.
And it was brought to our attention because we did a full,
Yeah.
we did a full inspection of the arena in 2024. But I can look into this further and just get some more
Sure.
detailed. Yeah, absolutely.
Ron, I'm gonna ask you to maybe speak on that because you having been responsible for those types of facilities in Oshawa.
Yeah, through the chair, you're absolutely right. This is a question of liability. So if somebody does take a fall or slip on those stairs, that will be brought into a question when damages are sought against us. Just keep in mind, our insurance provider could probably audit our buildings at any time and ask us to make these changes. So it's something that from a due diligent perspective and a risk perspective, we should be looking at and improving it where we can.
Okay, thank you.
So your worship, I've always stated or asked, if we could ask our insurance provider to maybe come and give us their opinion. Would you do that or would you not? Maybe, okay, I
I-
didn't say that out
yeah.
loud, sorry.
Never invite them anywhere near me.
But they will answer questions for free, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And, okay. I'll, yeah. Oh,
You okay?
yeah.
Okay, that's good. Good question, though. Yes, thank you. Okay, Cindy, next.
Next item is the splash pad, a fixture replacement at the splash pad. It's to replace the existing non-working splash pad fixture. And budgeted amount is 15,700 and we have received the full amount from the Ontario Trillium Foundation grant.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Good, good, good.
So that will,
Now leave it in and show that we got the money. Okay, like, yeah.
next item is the jailhouse flagpole. Budgeted amount is 3,000. The current flagpole does not meet health and safety regulations. We have, anytime we want to raise a flag or hang up a flag, we've got to get a tall ladder and one of our personnel to get up there and change it up. This new one will have a crank at the base and it will allow us to operate the flagpole, thus reducing. And-
Did you want to address that? Do you have a question, Claire?
I have a question, Your Worship. Right now, nobody can tamper with flags the way it is. So that's just what my question was.
Oh, they
like,
stole
re-
our pride
replacing-
flag.
Cut one now.
They stole it.
But if you have a way to put a flag up and down at the bottom,
Yeah.
it definitely increases the.
It's under law.
One of them now is, yeah, and the rope goes up the inside of the pole.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's a crank
Seems like you
thumb.
put one in that has a lock on the bottom or you can't get. it out.
Okay, I haven't seen those. I was just
But the
thinking,
other thing is, Actinolite has two of these big ones.
Yeah, just through the chair, when we did our asset management tour, I noticed there were two flagpoles there and I noticed right away, I think one of the first things I attended was a flag raising over at the jailhouse when I started in May. And I noticed that safety issue right up the bat. I asked Cindy to check in to see if we could take one of those poles since there were two there and I was told we would have to purchase them from the Actinolite Hall Committee. But now that I've been here a little longer, I'm not sure if we should re-explore that idea and just ask if we can
Take
utilize one of those. So anyway, that's one of the things we can do between now and February to see if this item can be removed from the budget process.
Yes.
They're originally they had to.
Okay, next one. You like event sign?
Yes, next is the electronic coming event sign, $15,000. The current electronic sign is non-functional and considered obsolete. So repairs won't be able to be made on it. This would mean a new unit.
Go ahead.
I hate that sign. We've spent a ton of money on that.
We
thing.
have.
And
yeah.
so if we purchase another one, is it,
It's got a warranty for the next 3 years. We can purchase additional warranty to 5 for 2 additional years. But you're correct that it is quite finicky. And one of my hesitations in purchasing another electronic sign is the fact that people can access it walking by. They can actually reach their hands and reach into the electronic sign that we currently have. So that's another issue. But I wanted to put it into, I wanted council to make that decision if whether or not.
Well, like you say, you've categorized it as a low item and maybe
That's
it's
right.
something that we just move away from. We can make that decision.
Mhm.
Thank you. Yes.
just a comment, Your Worship, when this is here. I completely forget the name of it now that we did with what was OMAFRA, but with Rural Affairs. We shadowed with another community and that sign was pointed out that the facade of our community is kind of an older historic town and the sign really stuck out as
Okay.
it didn't fit. Having that
Sure,
electronic
we are.
sign. And so, as this has cost us a lot of money, maybe we look at an alternative way of getting the word out there in public.
Mhm.
Because it does kind of stick out if you think
Yeah.
about it.
What was that small town study you're talking? Small towns or something like that.
Oh, where they mirror, when we
That's
went to
right, when
Cabin
we
Monahan.
did,
Yeah.
we did it with Millbrook,
Yeah,
Millbrook,
yeah, Millbrook.
and it was first impressions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Ryan.
Just to jump in a little bit, since I've been here, I've had a lot of complaints about that sign as well, just where it's placed. There's some big visibility issues, especially with anyone in the bigger vehicles, tractors, tandems. Our guys in the graders, when they got to go down that road, they're out to the middle of the intersection before they can see traffic coming. So just something to keep in mind, the placement of it is in a really bad spot as well and should be looked at too.
Okay, thank you. All right.
Next item is the Kiwanis Pavilion accessibility ramp, and the budgeted amount is $40,000. And our financing source is the Enabling Accessibility Fund from the federal government. And they'll be funding that entire project. The next item is the website and recreation software. The budgeted amount is $25,000. Our current host, Henderson, will be just recently reached out to us a couple of days ago and let us know that Site Apex and our website will need to move to a new platform in order to have some functioning. Because when OSM went down, Henderson took over the hosting. Yeah, so we've had some issues with the website for a while now, and I think it's time that we think about upgrading it.
Is this a cost quote for them that that this is what it would cost to migrate?
I got 3 quotes actually, and it was between $18,000 and $30,000, depending on functionality.
Yes, Councilor Fleeler.
Your worship, with the idea of us, using the county, do they have any insight on this type of thing that we
We
could?
can explore that.
Yes,
Okay.
when he comes, that's a good point.
Yes.
Just ask, let's see if they have a provider they use and stuff when you're meeting with him.
Okay,
That's a
sounds
good,
great.
good one, Jim. Thanks.
And that is the last of the
Thank you.
budgeted.
Okay, thank you
Item.
very much.
You're welcome.
Now get out of here and get ready.
I will. Going.
Okay, so now we're moving. Look like you're very pensive there, sir.
What's that?
You look like you're very pensive there.
Oh, no.
Okay, so now we will do the fire department. And that's gonna be wrong, okay. So that will be number 3. Yes. Okay. Okay, Ron, I'm gonna have you walk us through, if you will, the sheets. I love the sheet thing. Like, you know, the sheets explaining, I think that's wonderful. Yeah. And it also helps us even after we've left it and we're coming back, and then we can easily refer to the sheets to remind us what it is, rather than trying to keep it up here. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, through the chair, Chief Little sends his regrets. He's busy with a family matter at this time. And Sean Porter, our prevention officer, can make it as well. So you're stuck with me. So.
What?
You're supposed to model it for us.
Anyway, first item is a portable pump. This is a pump that is used to help draw water from environmental sources, whether it's Stokoe Lake, one of the dry hydrants. And this allows us to fill up our tankers and shuttle water to different areas. There's an existing pump now that is shared sometimes with Works. Works uses that pump to help with their bridge maintenance program. So that pump will not be disposed of, but find another life or another use, and it will also act as a backup for fire services. So that's the portable pump. The next item is the tanker truck. So just updated news we just received from the chief about a week ago. And as mentioned in the asset management plan by Steve, we were expecting the full delivery of the truck in 2026. The schedule has now changed. So the chassis will be coming in. So hence we will be providing another installment to that asset with the final truck arriving in 2027. Sometimes I believe it'll be early spring. So essentially this does help us, even though it's not great timing. We'd like to have that asset in our inventory right away, but it does help us from a financial perspective to spread that cost over the next 2 years. The next item is bunker gear. Bunker gear in the past has been placed in the operating budget. Our treasurer has indicated that this is a asset or a capital asset, and that it should be placed in our capital program. And as you can see, that it's a program that will go on for the next 10 years. So the bunker gear is very important. Obviously, it protects our team and ensures that they are safe and come home every day after an incident. Again, hoses.
No, excuse, that 23,000, that covers the cost of two, was it?
I believe the
Thank
bunker
you.
gear is about 5,000 each, so it covers replacing them.
I think when we were talking with Cindy, she said it was like two.
I don't think so.
Cindy, you're online there?
Yeah, yes, I am. And now I can't remember how much they were. I was thinking it was like $2,500 for one bunker gear outfit, but I think my price is too low. Ron, maybe you recall better than me.
5,000, Ron?
I think Cindy's correct. It was about 2,500. That also included the boots and the helmet. And the gear is usually lasts between 6 and 7 years. It has to be tested to meet NFPA standards. We do some repairs and testing on each gear every year, which is legislated. So this is a replacement program. So we don't have to replace the whole stock every year. But as we bring on new staff members as well, or new volunteers, that also helps to maintain that too.
Thank you.
Again, hoses is in the program again, and that was, I believe, put in operating at one time because of the cost. Hoses need to be replaced every once in a while. They are inspected visually as well as, I believe, pressure tested at times, but they do undergo some wear and tear, whether it's at a fire scene, an extrication, and I believe Derek indicated that brush fires is very hard on the hoses as well. So we just have to make sure that our equipment is maintained and continues to support our team. The last item in fire is a generator. Through the process of installing the generator that is in place now, we have determined or discovered during that process that the arena is powered by two different power sources. So power is coming in to manage most of the building, and then power comes in on another side that manages the heat and lights. So this is the most cost-effective way to deal with this. We could try to hook it up to the other existing generator, but it's cost prohibitive. So adding a second generator that will come on automatically and maintain lights and heating in that area would be very valuable during a emergency or community exercise. Emergencies, to allow that as an evacuation center to ensure that the community has a place to go.
I was saying to CEO Diskey too, I would like us to pursue funding on this. Emergency Management Ontario is constantly coming up with funding to help support these kinds of things. We have not been, oh, Cindy's gone. Kate, you would know. We have not been successful in our funding in that regard with the asking for the generators. Remember, we asked them for the hamlets as well and stuff.
Through the chair, I'm not sure. But I don't believe so. The only funding that we did receive this year was for the ice storm of emergency management at 10,000. And we were not successful the last time we tried.
That's okay. So this was one of those things that we should be going after, finding out when the next intake is and looking for funding. Yes, go ahead, Councillor Fleeter. Fleeter, Valiquette.
Wow.
He wishes.
Yeah, I know, right? So can you explain what the $22,500 is to buy an additional generator?
Through the chair, that's correct.
So the generator that's over there now, is it hooked up?
That's correct.
We cannot accommodate the heating. And
No, through the chair, I think it could, but to get there is more cost prohibitive than it is just to purchase a second generator. I think from Derek, I'm not an electrician, but I think he said one side is 3-phase, the other side is 1-phase, and to try to make those two compatible would cost a lot more than just doing this solution.
Okay, so thank you.
thank you. So that takes us through fire, and now we're moving on to public works. This is over to you, Ryan.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. First project we have on here is going to be the resurfacing of Flinton Road. This project involves regulatory approval, so permits through Quinte Conservation to get their blessing on pipe replacement. We'll be coring out the sections we've temporarily fixed in that road and replacing with B gravel, topping it with A. After that's complete, we'll get into the pipe replacement and then essentially pulverize the road after that, add our layer of gravel, and then seal it with a double of surface treatment. Last year, we had recommended bringing forward a Everlife product that typically goes for $14 a square meter, double surface treatment. On the high end will be around $9 a square meter. And if we can get it in 7 years, then we can likely extend it to the life of an Everlife pavement, which is typically for a single to put back over and get us there is about $4 a square. So it's still a little bit cheaper than doing the Everlife in the long run.
Okay, I'm hoping like we'll get our delegation with Minister Surma this year. This is one of the things that we emphasize with MPP Brise is the whole Flinton Road. Okay, if we can get the funding for that, that's what I would like us to see. And I will make that request. And I haven't heard from Minister Surma yet if we have our delegation, but this is one of the things, as well as 2 bridges that we've talked about that we will be looking for funding for. Eventually we got to be successful here because this will be the 4th year. And you know, and I'm hoping that they're going to recognize that we've made some significant changes to our asset management plan and whatnot to try to accommodate what we're trying to do. We need them to come forward and help us. Yes, Councillor.
So your worship, are we, if we do get funding, are we gonna go for the Everlife or are we gonna go?
I think
like-
we go with the funding for the
Yeah,
big
okay.
one,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
good one,
Yeah, yeah.
Everlife. Okay, that's what we go
I
for
agree
sure.
with that too.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, if we can find the money, definitely the Everlife. Yep.
So, yeah, so I will need, once I hear, like a complete costing for the whole thing. Okay, I think you did give me a rough estimate there.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah. Next, go ahead, Ryan.
Sorry, I gotta find which one's next here.
Crookston Road.
Crookston Road, so through the chair, so we're asking for $17,000 to fix the 2 terminal ends on Crookston Road, the guardrail. Sometime in the spring, they were damaged. We never found out who caused the damage, and we're left, we're stuck with the bill essentially. It is a road safety concern, so if someone was to run into that at some point, it's a huge liability issue.
Now, does insurance cover that kind of thing when it's not us that does something and it's?
Through the chair, we've gone through, since I've been here, almost a dozen of these claims. And we typically go after the person who's caused the damage, and then we get reimbursement through their insurance because we don't know who did it. We don't really have coverage on those type of things, from what I'm being told. And our deductible would be anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000. We make a claim, premiums go up.
Okay.
So.
Thank you. This, Councilor.
Your worship, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I went to Selby yesterday and there's another one on the Napanee, south end of Napanee there. Somebody smoked that. So I don't, like, I mean, to damage that thing to that extent, I don't know how somebody walked away from that or even got away from there. But do we notify the OPP and all that kind of stuff, thing?
Through the chair to Councillor Fleeler. So OPP typically notify us. They get the information for this stuff. We're working with that insurance company to write down to figure out how we're getting that replaced. We don't want to be responsible for it. It was a MTO vehicle that hit it. So yeah.
Okay.
So we're trying to.
We'll get money out of the government of Ontario somehow.
I hope so.
Okay, thank you, and thank you. Okay, next, throughout the municipality, just over the gravel. And Ron, you were mentioning, Cindy mentioned that the gravel should also become part of capital now. Do you want to?
Through the chair, yeah, our treasurer indicated that the gravel program should be a capital asset because it lasts longer than a year. Oh,
Okay, that's good. And so that you're looking at 225 there, okay?
Correct.
Okay, and then the Kinnan Bridge, this is one of our prefabs.
Yeah, through the chair. This is one of the bridges this bridge will be delivered actually next Tuesday and we'll have it at our yard. Again, we work with Tim and Northern Bridge and Mat to get this completed. But the process usually goes, site survey, regulatory compliance, mobilization will have the bridge, so we have to get it out to site at that point. We'll remove the existing bridge, install the abutments, add the granular material, install the bridge itself, and then we'll do all the other little things like filling the back slope, doing signage, doing proper guardrails, those type of things.
Okay, good. And the Reynolds culverts, again, this is on Flint. So this would be part of our Flinton request when we do it with Minister Surma.
Correct.
Okay.
Would you like a brief description?
I think we're okay.
Okay.
Okay, stormwater assessment.
Through the chair, so we have some more requirements we need to meet for our asset management plan. As they sit now, we're compliant, but down the road, it's going to be useful information to know what we have in the ground, what type of material it is, and what it's going to cost. This money would involve the inspection of our stormwater system with a CCTV camera, and we'll be able to capture all these sections, know where the deficiencies are, and be able to plan accordingly to fix these things.
Okay, thank you. And then, all your two tandems. One that's we're expecting.
Yeah.
Right, and then you've ordered another. Do you want to order another? Or you've ordered both?
Through the chair, so right now we have 4. Typically, we have 6. When we get this next one in, we'll have 5, and I'm asking for 2 additional. So that'll get us up to a 7 tandems. This, just for comparison, other municipalities, one of our neighbors, they run 7 trucks. They have one for a backup, and they have 240 lane kilometers of road. So we're almost double, and we run with 1 truck less. So they always have a good backup. We've never had a backup here. If we have the trucks, they're on the road. So this would get us up to 7, and we would still use them all when there's a storm.
Sort of through the mayor to the manager. So the other day I alluded to this smaller vehicle with a wing that MCON's using. Have you explored anything like that? Would that save us any money? Would it help us out? Would it be advantageous to pursue something like that?
Through the chair to Councillor Valakek, I actually just got all that information this morning from their MCON's manager. Those units go for anywhere from 250 to 300,000. It would be, of course, beneficial to us. We could be able to do it with the village here in the hamlets. We'd have the wing capacity. We would have more capacity for material on board. It would be a benefit. Yes, it would. And save us 125,000, but it doesn't have the capacity to hold the material. It won't move as much snow. And when these things are way out in the middle of nowhere, you want to have the material on to save the trips back and forth. So it is an option though. They're out there. People are using them. So. Through the chair, no, it wouldn't. We have to use the smallest truck we have to get across. Yep.
Yes, Councilor Flynn.
So, your worship, these trucks are, almost $500,000 a piece. Would that also mean that we would have to hire more staff if we had more trucks?
Through the chair to Councillor Fleeler, this would be right on the money. We would have all the staff running a piece of equipment at this point. Yep. And then we could likely find a backup, eventually move one of these out. And to be honest, if we have a bad year with these trucks again, we could be down 3 next year. We don't know what that's going to look like when we get to safety next year. These trucks they've been used well. So.
Okay, Councilor Flynn, then CAO just.
So, your worship, another thought I had was, and I don't know if it would ever work, but we've used shared services to our advantage. I don't know if it would be possible to share mechanics throughout the county. I don't know if that'd work, like a lot of trucks, a lot of equipment. I don't know if
Maybe that's something you can bring up at a CAO meeting. Okay, when you get together with other CAOs, that's a good.
And we do have the best mechanic in the country, but I mean, it's a lot of work for him to maintain all that equipment. Just a thought, I don't
Okay,
know,
thank Okay. Okay, moving on. Stokely Yard. Oh, this is the new half ton that you're looking for, okay?
Through the chair, yeah, this is to replace P02. It's the one out front here. It's the one I drive. It's at 260,000. The repair bills have been getting more and more lately. It's been in the shop, I believe, 2 or 3 times this year. It'll be 11 years old, sorry, 10 years old, and we'll have 260,000 on it just to keep up with the fleet and keep
Okay.
them updated.
Thank you.
Through the chair, to Councillor Valakut, everything going forward is going to be a crew cab.
And a wood chipper.
Through the
Okay.
chair, yeah, a lot of asks this year. The wood chipper would be beneficial through all departments, the waste site, Public Works, Parks and Rec. Parks and Rec can use it to clean up the town and village instead of dragging brush out to our dump and filling it with that for the waste site. So when the storm came in the spring, if we had a wood chipper there, we could have had a couple staff, couple hours a week going through shipping it ourselves. Next year through our operating costs, I need to set aside about $18,000 to $20,000 to tub grind all that material out there. As well with the ice storm in the spring, Public Works staff could have had this on the edge of the road, chipping it up and blowing it into the ditches instead of having to go around with our tractor and mowers and mulch it down as we go. It's a good piece of equipment to have across all.
Now, see, you mentioned to me that you were kind of surprised a municipality of our size didn't have a wood chipper.
Yeah, through the chair, that's correct. I was astounded that you didn't have that piece of equipment, just based on your geography. One other comment I wanted to make, just going back. So if you look at our fleet is there's always that sweet spot where you should unload the asset or dispose of it and get a newer one so that you don't have to incur the higher maintenance costs. Just while I have the mic, a lot of this equipment that Ryan will be asking for will allow us to work quicker, faster, will save money, pay for itself, and will ensure a higher level of health and safety for the staff. So, Ryan mentioned staffer dragging bush and moving it in and out of the trucks and stuff like that. So, you can prevent back injuries, you can prevent other injuries to the staff. So over time, these pieces of equipment will, like I said, help us work smarter, faster, and save us money and time.
Thank you. Yes, Councillor Fleeler.
Your worship, as far as the wood chipper goes, I saw one on the way in, it was a beaver about this big. Anyway, so we.
What's his hourly rate, the beaver?
Pardon?
What's the hourly rate for the beaver?
I didn't hear.
The hourly rate.
Oh,
beaver.
They work for free. But so at one point we charged for brush being brought into the wayside. And I know we've implied a $3 charge. But I don't know if we need to look at that.
Well, I think what are we back to the charge? I think what we took it off when we
Yeah.
had those back.
Yeah. So. what-
Yeah, through the chair, we are charging for that. There was a grace period during the storm. I think a month afterwards we charge again.
So.
But the issue we do have for the brush is we say $3 per load. Well, if someone comes in with a tri-axle dump truck full of brush, that's one load.
Just a thing to generate a bit of money to offset some of the costs for labor and different things, but. So, and your worship, so this would give us an opportunity to. Do on-site chipping instead of dragging the
Yes,
brush to the.
that's right.
Okay.
That's right. Okay, next thing, your pothole patching hotbox. Yes, I asked Ron about that.
Through
Is the hot-
Through the chair, well said. Yeah, exactly. We have an issue currently with how long our cold patch lasts and how frequent we're out there doing it. With this piece of equipment, we're able to transport hot mix and create more of a permanent solution with pothole patching. One thing we have an abundance of right now is asphalt millings from previous road jobs that we stocked up. We can recycle this through this machine, so there's no cost to purchase the millings. We have to purchase a solution that's added to it, And once heated up, it essentially goes down like hot pavement again.
Okay.
So
Cool.
there would be a big cost savings in material until we ran out of those piles of millings. It's a better solution, I think, for cold patching.
And so then, as we get rid of asphalt in certain roads, we keep the millings. Is that what you call it, millings? It's recycled asphalt, so to speak?
Yeah,
Okay.
through the chair. So say, I believe when you did Napanee Road, you had a grinder come in essentially and you loaded out all the asphalt into
Right.
trucks.
Okay.
Sometimes people reuse it and put it down on the road. We stockpiled it instead.
Okay, good.
So
Okay,
we can reuse this.
Okay, Councillor Valiquette, then Councillor Fleeler.
I'm just kind of curious, what does cold patch cost us every year? Roughly.
Through the chair, this was an exceptionally bad year with kind of the state of some of our roads. I believe we're at 55,000. Years before this, it was about 25.
Okay, and go ahead.
So your worship, would there be an opportunity to share this with another municipality or rent it out to another municipality?
Through the chair, it's not
Or
working.
would
again.
it-
Yeah.
would it-
Through the chair to Councillor Fleeler, if we could look at those options and see what our neighbors think as well. I think right now, most of our neighbors already have hot boxes though.
Yes, Deputy Mayor.
But when would you be looking to require that? The reason I'm asking is that we're going to go road that you guys are going through, and maybe there'll be newer technologies that we're aware of. Is that something that could hold off just till the springtime? Or are they readily available, or do they have to be ordered, or?
Through the mayor to deputy mayor, I'd have to look into it. I think there is a lead time on these. I don't think they have a whole lot in stock. They get pretty specific to how the municipality wants them. What I put here is a pretty base model unit, but it would be ideal to have this come springtime because we don't want to wait till summer and start putting all this material in, and the stuff we put in previously is just getting thrown out again or
The
removed.
unfortunate thing though is this is just a review of what was required. We're not having our next budget meeting until February.
Right.
And then that will be looking at operations and then another budget after that. When's Good Roads?
Into March, I think.
So it could be close. It could be close.
I'm just thinking, we might see something
Yeah.
on there.
And just
Yes, please.
And
go ahead.
just another thing Trevor brought up there, it's a lot nicer working behind one of them in the winter, when there's heat coming off it, instead of being out -30, trying to fix a hole that's frozen solid or trying to chip the cold patch apart as well. We typically have to bring this stuff into the shop at night, let it warm up, so it's malleable and workable. So our pothole patching in the winter is very limited without one of these.
Nope. I don't think we question. It's just that when we're gonna make the determination, we prioritize. Okay. Next. Is the tools.
So through the chair, we're asking for 3 specific tools for next year. The first one's going to be a utility locator. So this piece of equipment is used to pick up our water mains, sewers, stormwater, any kind of lines we can find in the ground. With all the new fiber going in these days and all the new people doing work in the village, right now we're kind of relying on, previous experience to get this stuff done, but it's hard for us to actually identify where these lines run. And if something were to happen and we didn't come close enough, we're outside the 4 feet, then we could be liable for those repairs. These usually go for about $4,000 to $5,000, but it's a good piece of equipment to have if we ever need to find anything.
Just out of curiosity, is the call before you dig program, is this still around? Is it not around?
Through the chair, it is, and we're responsible to find our own infrastructure. But right now, we've never been able to actually find our own infrastructure. So whenever someone comes in to do a dig in our town, we tell them, we think it's here, but hydrovac it because we're not sure.
Okay, thank you.
The second piece of equipment is going to be an updated rotary laser. We have a grade laser right now. I think it's about 20 years old, and I don't know how well it actually shoots anymore. So we're asking for a new grade laser. This will help us with road construction, installing pipes, all this type of stuff. And ditching, yep. And then a concrete grinder. So in the past, whenever we do panel replacement in town, concrete panels like sidewalks, The cost is usually $300 to $400 to have one of these replaced, when all we need to do typically is just shave down an edge on it. So if we were to say do 12 panels, which we did this year, I believe we did 14, we could shave them down instead of replacing them, and in the first year it would pay for itself.
Yes, Councilor.
So a couple of questions, the one call, even though you had that machine, you still have to call one call?
Through the chair. So when there's a request made in town for someone to get a locate, Trevor and myself are notified that someone needs to find some utility, right? So it's our responsibility to go out there, mark where we think our utility is, because we're the owner of that infrastructure. So we have to provide them either a drawing, paint on the ground, and then we're liable at that point for putting that mark on the ground. We're saying it's here. If it's without a 4 feet and they hit it, we're stuck fixing it ourselves. So we need to have this piece of equipment to show contractors, whoever's digging around the municipality, that, hey, we know this is where the line is. You're safe to dig.
Yes.
And the grinder, is that a walk behind unit that you can,
Through the chair, yeah. It's one we could pick up put on the back of the truck and drive around with it.
Okay, thank you. And that's it. Oh, snow blower.
Through the chair, yeah, we're asking for a snow blower this year. I believe there was intention years ago when we bought our case tractor to have a snow blower hooked up. It is plumbed, ready to go for a blower. This $37,000 will pay for itself after about 8 storms. It'll give us the opportunity to schedule when we would like to do snow blowing and be able to do it in-house. And then, 2-3 years down the road, it'll pay for itself.
Yes, oh, please go ahead.
So Ryan, that snow blower is not just specific to that tractor, it can be put on other tractors that as we upgrade that case? Or,
That would be something that we would have to, when you order the tractor, you'd have to have it manufactured for front wheel, right, and hook up.
okay, but it's not just specific to a case, it could be a job.
No,
or
no,
whatever.
as long as it has a front PTO, that's just one of the specs. When you go to buy the tractor, you have to tell them what we have. And then you would have to spec that tractor for that.
Okay, thank you.
Good, thank you. Yes, Councilor Plumfield.
Just, my only concern is the power, like we all know they're very different snows. Anybody who's shoveled the last few days knows that the snow we got yesterday was a lot different than the first snow we got. And that's my only concern is the power. I understand why we're looking at this. It's just that, we rely on that tractor for other things at other times of year. This is anybody who runs anything with a diesel engine knows that this is the worst time of year to operate one. It's just harder on them in the cold. So just want to be sure we're not pushing it like to its very limit. So that's all. I just, if there's any information, do you have a specific blower in mind? Just
Through the chair, we do. You got a second? I can pull it up quick.
Yeah, and then I just look into it just to have an idea.
I
know you guys.
It
have
is spec for
specific-
this tractor. So this blower is made for this tractor.
Mhm.
And by all means, it's not going to be the service we're getting now. Like this tractor's half the size, this blower is going to be half the size. It's going to take us longer, but it's something we can keep the money in house for. Just give me a second here.
And also, this one here is the same one that's, I believe it's Twenty West that has it. They have the same one that they use all the time and Bobble. This is going from Eric Schulten, the guy that's selling the blower.
So it is a local dealer as well?
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Okay, so that's important too, that you're not buying something that only have the dealership in the States or something like that, right?
Do you want the number on that?
Yeah, if you would.
It's N98 310 HTR.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's move on now to water and sewer. Okay,
Through the chair, we're carrying forward a project we intend to complete this year. It's going to be the water treatment plant upgrades. It's additional treatment for the nitrates and uranium in our source water, and it's the connection of the new well and some valve upgrades essentially in the water treatment plant. We're going to carry it forward because we haven't heard an announcement yet for funding, so hopefully that comes.
Yes. Okay. Good. Well, I think that's it then. Because we already did Cindy's community development. Before I adjourn, any comments? So Ron, you're going to have us, the next meeting is February
February 12th.
12th, okay. We'll continue this, and that we'll be looking at operation.
That's correct.
Okay, have you got a date in mind for them? Are we going to look at both and come up with a?
We can look at that, and we can look at it at the next council meeting in January.
Okay.
My intention would be to bring you the full operating budget. And, we'll be in good shape
Okay.
at that time to either make adjustments or move forward.
Okay, good. Okay, let me just adjourn here. Can I have a move and a seconder to adjourn the budget meeting, please? Thank you, Deputy Mayor Marsh. Thank you, Councilor Palmetier. Be it resolved that the 2026 capital budget be referred to the ongoing budget process, and further that council adjourn at Laurie. Before all in favor. Thank you. Well done, gang. I love the notes, because then you have something to reflect back on, like when we're like